Okay. So good morning, all of you. Today probably it's going to be my last class for this session, for this batch. So continuously we're going to take 4 chapters. More? What is it? More? Okay, anyways, it's going to be an interesting one. So the one today, firstly, we're going to start with the chapter 6, that is breastfeeding and its importance. So how many of you are all mothers here? Already mothers? So majority of them. Okay. So you must be knowing about the importance of this. Okay. Why you should know now? Because the child, when he comes to you to the school, he'll be somewhere between say 2.5, right? But there are cases where you have this daycare centers. You have lots of daycare centers available in Bangalore. They even take child of 1.5 week, 2 week, 3 weeks also. You're aware of it? Yeah? So, for those mothers, you need to guide them. Okay? What has to be done? Because, okay, they have their own problems, so they're leaving the child in the school. So, but the child should not be deprived of his nutrition. Right? He should not be deprived of what he is entitled for. He is lawfully to say he should have it. I mean the breast milk. So what all guidance you can give to the mother and why is it so important, we're going to study in this chapter. Okay. So as you all know, breast milk is the first nutrient what a child gets. Yes? And breast milk is what they say is a gift of God. It has been given and only you all can be proud as a female. That's one of the most sacred gift what the God has given. You're going to give birth to a child, you're going to feed them, yes, and you're going to bring them up. Yeah, that cannot be possible by any of the other genders, right? Okay, so the breast milk is the first nutrient which immediately the child can be given. Okay. This cannot be replaced by any of the other artificial nutrients because it has its own advantages, it has its own composition which is well suited for the proper child growth and development. Okay. So, this term is called as a lactation. In the medical term, feeding a child is known as a lactation. Okay. And this is the secretion of the milk from the breast, which is beneficial for both the mother as well as the child. And this all takes place because of the positive and the negative feedbacks which takes place in the brain. Okay? As soon as the baby sucks, so as soon as there is a birth, when the female gives birth to a child, it so happens the hormonal changes that activates the hormone which secretes the milk. Okay? So that's been activated from the brain. So now immediately there will be production of the breast milk. That will not be present during the pregnancy stage. Yeah, you all know it, right? So once the baby is born, so the nature has created in such a way that as soon as the baby is born, the milk should be ready. So the signals will go to the brain and the brain in turn will pass on the signal to the prolactin hormone through the prolactin hormone and that secretes the milk. Okay? So that is a positive feedback. Then what happens when the baby starts sucking? That's again going to give a feedback to the brain that it needs more. There should be more production. That's how there will be supply as well as production. Okay? And this as well, if at all due to some reasons if the mother is not able to feed the baby, the breast milk will still be produced. Okay? That has to be discarded. It has to keep on, it has to be discarded. So otherwise what happens? The mother will have negative health effects. Okay. Then breastfeeding is a prerequisite, as you all know, for the growth of the newborn. And it should never be avoided until and unless there is some emergencies where the mother should not feed the baby. Some cases, some exceptional cases you have that. So if that is so, only then the baby should not be fed with the mother's breast milk. Otherwise, any condition whatsoever, the baby should get its right. Yeah. So this is the international breastfeeding symbol. So internationally, whenever you see this, you can think that they're saying something about the breastfeeding. Okay. So coming to the significance, why is it so important? So firstly, this is the healthiest way to feed a newborn, as the milk is rich in all the nutrients. Okay? All the nutrients which are immediately required to the baby, the breast milk gives that in a complete proportion. Clear? Then it reduces the chance of infection and increases immunity. This is not possible in any of the other substitutes. Okay? So, it reduces the chances of infection, as well as it produces lots of immunoglobulins, so which helps to fight against immunity. As though you know, early 5 years, they are more prone to infection. So, it has been seen that babies who have not had a chance of having the breast milk, those who have not mother fed, those who are bottle fed, they have more chances of infection and compared to the mother fed babies. Okay? Then breast milk contains all the vitamins, minerals and enzymes which aids in baby's digestion. So all the other milk, it so happens that they always have this abdominal colic. Abdominal colic matlab tummy pain. They keep crying continuously and have this loose motions and all those problems in kids. Yeah, in small kids. That is because that milk is not that very suitable for the baby's digestive organs. Okay? And the amino acids, what are the amino acids? You all know it, right? These are the ones which forms the base for the proteins, protein production. Yeah? And these amino acids are rich in the breast milk. As you all know, majority of our organs, it's all made up of the proteins. Yeah? So, if the amino acids are not supplied enough, it so happens the proper growth, because already the formation has happened, the proper growth of those organs and the structures and the cells in the body gets diminished. Clear? Okay. And the breast milk is rich in lymphocytes and macrophages, and this protects the newborn against the intestinal inflammation. What is this lymphocytes and macrophages? You have any idea? Lymphocytes are the blood cells. These are the white blood cells which produces the immunity. Okay? This produces the antibodies as well as it helps in the tissue immunity process. So, the breast milk is rich in lymphocytes and macrophages. Macrophages are the one which cleans the debris. Debris in the sense, like if there is any foreign body in the baby's body and the lymphocytes attacks it and it engulfs it. So that's a waste product now. It has to be cleared, right? So these macrophages act as clearance cells. So it cleans up the body. Got it? The cells, basically. Then the breast milk is rich source of iron. As you all know, iron is very essential component in the hemoglobin, yeah, which carries oxygen. So the breast milk has rich quantity of iron. Yeah. Then it promotes overall health of the body. Then since mother's milk is available at the optimum temperature that is most suitable for the infant, it is free from all possible sources of contamination. Usually what we do, we boil the milk, right, just to kill the bacteria. But since the mother's warmth and the milk which the mother is producing, that is comes with an optimum temperature. It will not be very cold. It will be slightly warm. Okay? So that will kill all the bacteria, and as though you don't have any bacteria or anything in the mother's milk. Okay? So it's free of any type of contamination. It can be easily given to the baby. If the baby is bottle fed, you know all the entire process, the cycle, what you do to clean the bottle, but even then the bacteria will be present. Yeah? Okay. So the immunoglobulins which I was speaking about, that is the antibodies, are rich in the baby's milk, and this will protect against any sort of gastrointestinal infections. And that's the most common in babies. Abdominal colics. Okay, that's the most common. Then studies suggest that the amino acid, that is a tryptophan, which is present in the breast milk, it acts as a natural tranquilizer. Tranquilizer matlab puts you in a sleep. Yeah, many a times baby is also sleeping and the mother is also sleeping along with the baby. Yeah, it so happens, yeah. So that's a natural tranquilizer. It is produced by the tryptophan. Yeah, okay. And the hormone prolactin, responsible for the production of breast milk, functions as a natural tranquilizer also. The prolactin as well as the tryptophan. Okay. So it has been seen in the research, it has been proven that the formula fed babies having the bottle milk, they tend to become more obese as compared to the babies who are breastfed. Sometimes breastfed babies also will be very chubby and nice. So maybe in initial stages, it so happens they have seen this bottle fed babies, they are obese in the early stage of life, as well as the chances of obesity in the middle age becomes more. More likely these babies are going to be obese, and they'll have a lot of other health problems like maybe hypertension, diabetes related to this. Got it? So that's why the baby should never be devoid of breast milk. Then breastfeeding plays a pivotal role in preventing various kinds of digestive diseases in the infant. Otherwise, it can cause something called as the ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Ulcerative colitis matlab in the entire colon, that is the large intestine, you have the ulcers. Usually it is seen in a lot of bottle fed babies. They have seen this chances, the occurrences of ulcerative colitis more, as well as the Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease can ultimately lead to cancer. Okay, it is seen that bottle fed babies, when they go into the middle age or in the adulthood, the Crohn's disease chances are more. That is colon cancer. Okay, so the chances of this are more. So that's why what all you are going to do is educate each and every mother, yeah, and each and every expectant mother to feed the baby the breast milk. And they also say the mother get back to her normal, the ultimate shape and figure much faster if she breastfeeds her baby. So all of you can go ahead. So it so happens in the school, if there are some expectant mothers, no, you can always advise them. Yeah? Okay. Now coming to the research findings. So research findings, what they have seen is breastfed babies perform much better in the schooling. Okay? And they're intellectually more sound. Yeah? So I don't know how far they have the substantiation for this, but they say that intellectually and emotionally these children are at par when compared to the bottle fed babies. Yeah? And parents or guardians of breastfed children were less likely to express concern about the learning capacity and the children were less likely to have required treatment for some behavioral or conduct or mental health problems. So the incidences of all these problems in the breastfed babies were comparatively less when compared to the bottle fed babies. So learning problems and all those. So even in the learning disorders, I had just mentioned one point. So usually breastfed children, they are less likely to have this problems. So it so happens because the bonding will be there between the mother and the child. So in the bottle fed babies, you don't have that bonding. Okay? So this is about the breastfeeding and its importance. Any doubt? Wait.
Yes, ma'am. Some children, if they have breastfeeding, they have a severe kind of motions. So what may be the reason for this? If the mother milk only, no ma'am, what may be the reason?
That's normal. Some kids, it will be normal. Okay, it may be because of some other secondary infection. It's not because of the breast milk. So even though there is loose motion, the mother should never stop feeding the child.
Okay.
Okay, she has to continue with the breastfeeding.
Okay.
There is no problem as such. It could be because of some other reason. Usually once the baby starts growing, no, so he'll have all his mouth, hand putting into his mouth and all the dust
Small
and all those
child,
things.
ma'am, who is like a before 1 month.
As soon as the baby is born, the stools will be loose only.
Okay.
Okay, it will take some time for the stools to get hardened.
Okay. Is there
It will
any
be-
more composition? Is
No,
there any
no.
difference in the composition of mother milk kind of things? It varies, no, ma'am. From one.
Composition, I didn't get you. Which composition?
These are all things what you
Huh?
told, like some lactogen will be more, some, so that it will cause the motions kind of things. No. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So coming to weaning. So what is this weaning? Weaning, you are taking out the baby from the breast milk and putting him to his normal diet. So this has to be done after 6 months. Exclusively the baby should fed for the first 6 months of its life, if possible. Yeah. So if possible, exclusively 6 months only mother's milk. Nothing other than that. Okay. After 6 months, so happens the baby is growing at a faster pace now. So only the mother's milk will not be sufficient for the growth. So what we have to do? We have to substitute this mother's milk with some other foods. Okay. And later the baby has to weaned out from this breast milk and he has to follow his normal diet as we are all eating now. Yeah. So how to do this? There is a specific procedure to do this. You cannot just abruptly stop the breast milk and start with the other diets. Okay. The breast milk should be continued for at least 2 years of age. Okay. At least till the child becomes 2 years of age, if it's possible. There is no harm and it's good for the child if you feed him for 2 years of age. Yeah. Okay. If it's not possible, it's well and good. No problem. At least for 1 year, the baby should be fed intermittently once you start the weaning process. Yeah. So how do you do this weaning process? Initially, you always start off with the semi-solid food because the baby's esophagus, the food pipe, the stomach, the tummy, everything should get adjusted to the new diet now. Okay. You always start with semi-solid foods and it depends on different cultures. Yeah. So in South India, especially in Karnataka, what we do is with the ragi malt. So in North India, they do it with some other different, maybe they start with the wheat. Actually, wheat should not be started in the early ages because the digestion will not be that good enough with the wheat. Okay. So they start with the khichdi. Yeah, mashed rice with the dal. So initially what they do is they just give the dal stock, what they say, stock, right? Yeah, they give that one. Yeah. Then they start with the fully mashed rice and the dal. Then substitute with some of the vegetables like carrot. Yeah. So tomato they don't give in the early stages. Like carrot you can give, aloo also you can give, but not very often because it's rich in carbohydrates. Then what they do is usually they start off with this canned foods, the one which you get the prepared food, the Cerelac and all those things. So that actually should be avoided as much as possible. Always homemade food is the best. So what you can do is instead you can have all these cereals and pulses, yeah, cleanly washed. If it is sprouted, it's well and good. So then you have to just put it in a mixer and have a powder of it, make a powder of it. So whenever you're giving that mashed rice, you can substitute this 1 spoon of all these pulses and the cereals, just 1 spoon, just or even half a spoon, cleanly, just you can just boil it, bring it, and when it's slightly warm, it should not be very cold also when you're giving it to the baby. It should be slightly warm, lukewarm when you're feeding the baby. Okay, that can be substituted once in a day in the initial stages. Then you can increase its quantities as well as the number of times you give it in a day. So slowly what you're going to do is, you're going to bring out the baby from the breast milk and start with the normal food. So what all you can give is boiled and mashed vegetables, starchy foods, then ripened and mashed fruits. Usually fruits should never be boiled. Many of them they do it, they boil the apple and then put it in the mixer and give. No, you shouldn't boil the fruits. Okay? Fruits should never be heated. Because it so happens nowadays the apple, the outer skin, no, they put that, the chemicals. So that's why they say a slight warmness should be there. But if you get a good one, which is not a polished one, it should not be waxy, that polished, that shining one. Okay? So that you can give it like that itself.
If the child is having taste buds, by that time, 1 year, they are having the taste buds. They can
Taste buds will be there for the child.
They can feel the taste. Also.
Yeah, they can feel the taste. Sweet, sour, salty, everything they can feel.
Why no tomatoes in the early?
Because the tomato seeds are there, no? Sometimes they say it's not good for the baby's tummy. In the early stages, in the early 6 months to 8 months, then you can start. 9 months to 1 year, you can start. No problem. Okay. Then diluted fruit juice, dairy products like cheese and yogurt in the later stages. You can always substitute the food what you give with ghee. Ghee is the best one because that's going to aid the digestion process also. Okay. Preferably homemade ghee. So commercial weaning products which are available, if you don't have any other options, so you can start off with the commercial weaning products. Otherwise, always the recommended one is which is prepared at home. Okay. So what all you have to avoid in the weaning process, you should not add salt in the early stages of life, in the early weaning process. Why? Because salt is going to increase the burden of the water retention. Okay? So it's going to increase the water retention. So what you do? Avoid salt. Later you can just add just 1 pinch of salt. Sugar also very little. So usually what we do is, many of them, they put 1 spoon of sugar because my child is not eating. Yeah, 1 spoon of sugar and almost a quarter spoon of salt, so that he'll get the taste. Then he'll eat. Okay, that's not the way. You should not put more salt. You should not at all put the salt in the early stages. Later, just a pinch of salt and very little sugar. Yeah, and honey should not be given at least for the 1 year of age. Because they say it is not that very easily digestible by the baby. Okay, so honey should not be given. Then nuts or seeds should be avoided. You don't give them the nuts or the seeds. If you are giving them the nuts, what you have to do is, as I told, just fry a bit, put it in the mixer, make a fine powder of it, mix it with some of the food what you are giving, and then you can give. Yeah, don't give it the coarse nuts. What's going to happen is, it can choke. Yeah, the child can go into choking. Then do not give any tea or coffee to the child. Okay, so many people give. I have seen people giving tea and coffee to the child. So don't give tea or coffee because these are all the neurostimulants. Yeah, and it can cause harm to the baby in the early stages. It should not be given. Then avoid cold drinks or any diet drinks. Don't give him any Pepsi, Coca-Cola or Fanta or whatever. So it should not be given in the early stages. After 2 years though, 2-3 years, even if you say no also, they're going to have it. So but try to avoid as much as possible. Yeah. Then avoid citrus fruits till 6 months of age. In the early 6 months, avoid the citrus fruits. Yeah. So later you can start. You can start with the orange juice also later. Just 1 or 2 spoons. Yeah. And then avoid foods containing gluten like rye, barley and wheat based products till 6 months. So because this wheat and the barley and all, it's not that easily digestible. So you have to avoid all these foods in the early stages. Later, it's not digestible. The gluten, what happens, no? It is like a sticky thing. So it does not easily pass on through the digestive system. Okay, that's why you shouldn't give.
But about citrus fruits,
Citrus fruits you should not give in the early stages, 6 months, early 6 months, because it's an acid, it's a citric acid, okay? So it should be avoided. Later you can give, yeah? That's only for that some ritual what they do, no? In the ring and they just put, that's only 1 drop, no? That's okay. But it should not be given as a substitute for the food. That's only a ritual, that's a ritual what they do, okay? You should not give. Only for the ritual, it just only 1 drop, so it's not going to make much of a difference, yeah? So this is about the breast milk, its importance, and the weaning process, and the food what you avoid, and food what has to be given for the weaning process. Any doubts? Cow's milk, you know, some people they say it should be avoided, but until unless if it is pasteurized, no problem. Direct cow's milk should not be given. Direct from the cow, because you'll have a lot of bacteria in it. So if the pasteurization, no, even though the pasteurization process will not be happen, no, if it is a direct consumption from the cow to the baby, cow or buffalo, whatever, okay? If it is a pasteurized, that packet milk, you can. It has to be again boiled and cooled and then given, but not directly from the cow. Got it? Because the bacteria will be present more in that. Even though you heat it, boil it, still be present. Yeah? Because it has to undergo that pasteurization. After that you can give. Nowadays the world itself is not good. So what? it's all contaminated. It's all contaminated. You'll have to go for the organic products now. Go green and go organic. Huh? Only water you can give. Water also is contaminated now. Yeah. So this is the other part in this chapter. It's not related to the one what we have just discussed in the morning. So these are the physical needs as well as the psychological needs of a child. Okay. So what are the physical needs? Physical needs in the sense, bodily, what help a preschool child will be expecting from you. Okay. Physically, what are the things he is dependent on you. Yeah. So the physical needs of a child would be toileting, hygiene, first aid and nutrition. Because the baby is not capable enough to do all his job by himself. So we are all grown-ups now, we are all adults, we can do all our job by ourselves. We can take care of ourselves. But the baby cannot take care of itself. So it is dependent on you for all its needs. Yes? Yeah? Let it be diaper changing. So you have to do it. Somebody has to take responsibility and do it. Yeah? Responsibility. The baby can't do it, right? So he is dependent all the time on some caretaker. Let it be a mother, let it be a grandparent, or let it be a caretaker. Yeah? Okay. So what are those? Toileting, hygiene, first aid and nutrition. So if the child gets hurt, he cannot take care of himself, you have to do the first aid. Yeah? So the nutrition, the child doesn't know what he has to eat or what he is not supposed to eat. So you are the one who are going to guide him. Yeah? Toileting, you are the one you're going to teach the child about the toileting. And the toileting has to be taught from the initial ages of life itself. So usually the potty training and all, by 1 year, 1.5 years, they start. You have the baby potty. So once you start doing it now, as a process, the child automatically will go and follow this thing. Yeah? And washing hands. So every now and then, once the child is able to understand, okay? So even when the child is small, also what are you going to do? As soon as the child has come out of the toilet, you're going to wash his hand, wash his legs. The same thing the child is going to follow later also. Yeah? Okay. And apart from this, for the large muscle as well as the small muscle exercises, the child will not understand why he has to do an exercise. Yeah? You know the importance of large muscle and small muscle exercises. If you just give a lecture like this, how I am giving to you people, what are the importance of large muscle and small muscle, making all the children sit in a chair like this. So do you think the child will understand? The child is going to sit? No. So it's your duty to not make him understand theoretically that what is the importance. You are going to get the activity done by the child. So for example, the large muscle activities like all the things, whatever, the play things, kicking, running, jumping, playing, yeah. So all those things which involves a large muscle, it has to be taught by you initially. You have to teach him the safety measures also, yeah. Moreover, you should be present with the child whenever he is doing any activity. It should always be under your supervision. It be a mother or a teacher or a parent, anybody, yeah. And small muscle also, whenever he is manipulating any small objects, or whenever he is in the kitchen, or whenever he is in the entire home, you are going to make the home environment safe for him, yeah. Not going to keep until the child understands that he should not do it. So you are not going to keep any of the materials which can harm the child. Because children will always start experimenting, right? Small objects, mouthing is a very common feature of the child. So what happens? If it's a small child, from then itself, that's why they say you should always have one eye on the child, whatever you're doing. Yeah? So make the environment safe so that the child will be safe enough. Yeah? So these are the physical needs. And the large muscle activity, what are you going to plan in the school? First, you can start with the music and movement. So music, as you know, it's very soothing to the ears, and children enjoy music. They enjoy dancing. So with the music, you're going to have the movement. So with the music, you're going to make the child exercise or play. Then large wall writing or painting. You can have another activity of this. You will have a large wall where you leave the child free to write anything and to paint anything, if you have no problem with again repainting it. Okay, so you can just create a false wall kind of a thing. You can have a false board like this or anything. So you can ask the child to do whatever he needs. So he'll start using his upper body muscles and upper musculatures, body musculature. Yeah. Then outdoor experiences like bike track, developmentally appropriate outdoor equipment to keep the children moving, and play games that involve throwing, kicking balls, jumping, hopping, sliding, skipping, etc. All these, whichever improves his large muscle activities, you can give to the child. These are some of the few of the ones which I have just taken the images. Yeah. So the children are enjoying, all of them are enjoying over there. After the large muscle, after the games, after the kicking and activities. Yeah. So next, requirements for physical development. So we've been speaking a lot about the physical development. Yeah. So for a child to develop physically, we need some prerequisites. That means what? As a teacher or as a parent, first of all, you're going to give him an encouragement. Yeah. Until and the child is encouraged, he's not going to do that activity. So whatever he does, even if he just kicks a ball, you say, "Oh, very good, my son has kicked a ball." Yeah. You clap, right? You encourage him, because that's something, that's a positive feedback what the child gets. Okay, if I'm doing this, everybody is appreciating me. So he'll start doing it better. Yeah. So first and the foremost thing is encouragement. Then provision of opportunities. You want your child to play, but you're not giving him the proper environment, proper opportunity to play. So where the child is going to play? Yeah. You have lots of schools which is very much closed. You do not have that outdoor game activities. So until and unless the child has the chances of exploring his body and exploring his muscles, he'll not learn. Yeah. Okay. So you need to provide those opportunities. So at home, you can, nowadays it's all apartments and high-rise buildings. So you have the play area, right? You take him to the play area every evening or whenever it's possible, morning or evening. So give them that opportunity to play. Then improving their skills of coordination, control, manipulation and movement. So all these, the more he plays, the more he practices, his skill is going to improve. His coordination is going to improve. So which is going to be helpful for him in the later life. Yeah. Then encourage the use of senses to learn. As you all know, the 5 senses, whatever he uses, it's very, 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 very crucial for all the learning process. So if he is not able to use his senses properly, he is not going to learn. So you have to give him all the opportunities, like using his visual sense, using his auditory sense, using his kinesthetic sense, the taste sense also. You have to give him nice food, otherwise he's not going to enjoy. Yeah, and the smell, I mean the olfactory sense, that also. So they say if there is a sweet aroma around, the mind will be relaxed. Yeah, the same for the adult as well as the child. Okay, if you take him to some area, nowadays the entire Bangalore is like that, fully garbage here and there. So the child will not like to, even if you have a park just near to the garbage, even if you take him, he's not going to play. Yeah, so all these makes a lot of difference. Then, and educate the importance of physical activity. So what are you going to tell? You're going to give him the points. Okay, this, if you play this, these muscles are going to develop. Okay, if you do this, this is going to happen. No, you're not going to do that, right? But you're going to educate the importance of physical activity in the way what the child understands. Yeah. Then healthy choices in relation to the food selection. So always you need to give him the food selection, and this is a very, 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 very difficult task as a mother and as a teacher to make him understand what is good and what's not good for the child. Yeah. So all of you have that problem, right? Yes? Yes. So what you're going to do is, whatever food, the healthy ones you're going to give, you're going to present it in such a way that the child likes it. Yeah? So the child starts eating that food. So these are some of the requirements for physical development. Now coming to the aspects of physical development, what are these? Firstly, movement and space. So for the physical development to happen, you need to have, the child should do enough of movement and should have enough of space also. Okay? If these two are restricted, the development also gets restricted. Yeah, all of you agree? Yeah? Okay. And when you are teaching about this movement and space, so the child, if you are giving, okay, you are going to play only in this area, not disturbing any other child, okay? And you're going to, whenever you're giving this area, you're going to check for its safety. There should be no sharp edges, okay? The surface should be flat and it should not be slippery. It should be non-slippery surface, no water. So all those things you're going to check, and the child you're going to give him his own territory, its own area. This is your area. You're going to occupy only this area and play. The child will also understand how to manage himself within that limited space. Yeah? So you're going to do that. Then health and bodily awareness. So here you're going to educate the child, maybe through a lot of different rhymes or maybe through other narrations. So how to be healthy, how you should look healthy, as well as the cleanliness, the hygiene factor. So everything you're going to make aware to the child. And then using equipment and materials. So for this, the Montessori way, the child is whole and soul responsible for all his things, whatever he is borrowed. It should be neatly in the same way, it has to be kept back. Yeah? So you should make the child responsible for his own manipulatives and his for own materials. You should tell, this is all yours. So we'll see how neatly you keep this. So how many children do that? The first day itself, all the cars, all the parts will be removed. Yeah? They do it? Bindu?
So my children very organized.
Organized? Very nice. Okay. So you're going to teach the child how to manage the equipments, how to manage his own toys. Yeah? Okay. So these are all the physical factors, the aspects as well as the things. Now we're going to learn the psychological needs of preschool children. So only the physical thing, you're making him everything available, but psychologically also the child is dependent on you totally. So what are his psychological needs and how you're going to help the child to attain that psychological needs. The first and the foremost psychological need of a child is attention. Yeah? Everybody is attention seeking in this world. So I've dressed up well today, so I'm seeking your attention. Yeah? Okay? The child also seeks attention every time, all the time. So in the class, if you're not attending a child, just one child he is calling ma'am, 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 ma'am. If you're not saying yes, if you're not responding to him, what's going to happen? He's saying, ma'am is not good. He'll start crying. The next day the complaint will come, ma'am, you didn't attend to him. Yeah? So children are attention seeking. So it so happened with my daughter also, day before yesterday, they gave all of them some color charts. So one color chart was less for my child. So what she said, by the time she came out from the school, she started crying. Ma'am did not give me my color chart today, so I don't want to go to school. Okay? So it so happens you have to be attentive to all the children. Yeah, no bias in this. They're very much attention seeking. Then acceptance. Okay? This is, I think madam would have taught you all this. Any child whatsoever, you should accept him unconditionally. No conditions that he is from the poor background, he is from that, he is from this, he is not fair, he is not that. Okay? Unconditionally the child should be accepted. Let him be naughty or let him be a slow learner or an aloof. Okay? All the children should be accepted. Whoever comes to you. Yeah? Then respect. Nowadays this has become a major one. So children also expect a lot of respect. You should never scold them in public. Yeah? No, this thing also in public. If you do that, the next day you know what's going to happen. Yeah? So whenever you take him to the mall, if he says, I want this, if you're not giving it, they'll start, rolling there itself. And if you scold them, it becomes that you are not showing respect to him, then he'll not speak to you. He'll say, Mama, I'm not going to speak to you. You scolded in front of everybody. Yeah? So you should always give respect to the child. This, in this way, I feel the Western communities manage their kids much better than our Indian communities. Yeah? So we don't have that much of patience. First thing is we do this. Yeah? But there, it's not at all encouraged. Yeah? They have a lot of that time out and all those things. So they never beat the child. So if by 2 years of age, the child knows what number to dial. So he'll dial that number. Yeah? Then parents will be in the behind the bars. Okay. So belonging. So children, they are more towards the toys which they like. Like they won't share it with others. So they are very much concerned about all their belongings, what they have. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Okay. Some children, they keep it very neatly as Bindu's children do. Yeah. Some children, they know even though it's that their belonging, they know that their father will get one more. So that will be destroyed again. So they are more concerned about all their belongings. Yeah. Then love. Each and every child expects this love, unconditional love. Yeah. So children are really more attracted towards a teacher. They love the teacher like anything. Yeah. So if the same teacher, if they see them after the school hours somewhere in the market, they're so happy. Mama, that's my teacher. Yeah. Yeah. So they love them a lot. So your personality should be in such a way that don't scold the child and don't beat him so that they lose that love to you. Yeah? Okay. Then achievement. So, whenever you give them some activity, for example, maybe the beading activity. So if the child does it successfully, he's so happy, he goes and tells to the entire class, to the teacher, the mother, whoever comes home, visitors, they'll tell, you know, today I did that entire beading activity. It was so easy, it was so nice, my madam said very good to me. Yeah? So they have that winning confidence if they achieve something. So when they achieve something, you positively encourage them to do it. Yeah? Okay. Even if they're not able to achieve, tell them, no problem, next time we'll do it. We'll try it again and we'll do it. So you also be a part of it and help him to achieve that. Yeah? Then friendship. This is very, very important. So usually children like to be with groups. They love to share everything with their friends. So, but sometimes there are some children who love to be alone. They don't want to be with their friends. Yeah? So for those children also, you should encourage them to have friends. You always take them to the group. You always include them to the group. Don't, if you think that, okay, one child is just, he just wants to be alone, just don't leave him alone. Okay? Always try to include him into the group. Any activity, you see to that, you give him all the responsibility so that he takes the responsibility and gets the activity done from the group. Yeah? Because if you're not correcting that from the early ages, it so happens when he goes to the later life, he's going to be left alone like that. Got it? Okay. These are some of the psychological needs of a preschool child. Most of the things would be done in the psychology. These are the just few headings which I have taken now. So any doubts in this? So this is the end of chapter 6. Yeah. We're going to the next interesting chapter, which is indoor and outdoor accidents. Prevention, first aid and safety measures. Few of this I have discussed earlier also. So we're going to have a recap of all this now. Okay. So what is this indoor and outdoor accidents? Huh? Yeah.
If the children had a cut, simply they bang the door, and if the fingers are stuck in the door, they fell down, they had some scratch kind of.
Yes.
And I have some other doubts also, ma'am.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, I am feeling like some children suddenly the nose will start
I'll start the chapter. So once I complete the chapter, you ask. Okay? So in this chapter, I have tried to cover most of the things what you people, as a teacher, you might come across. Okay? So once I complete the chapter, any doubts, you can definitely ask me. So these indoor and outdoor accidents can happen not only in the school, maybe at home also, maybe whenever you are going out somewhere. Yeah. So as a person, you should know what are the first aid measures you take to, you cannot avoid the accidents because it's an accident. Yeah. So what to do when there is an accident. So you need to know all the first aid measures immediately. How can you help the child or anybody? Yeah. So introduction. Indoor and outdoor accidents can happen anywhere, as you all know. Yeah, and it's more common among preschool children because they are very enthusiastic. Yeah, they sometimes it so happens they are so much into the play, they forget that who is there next to him. Yeah, especially when they go for the outdoor plays, the accidents happen more compared to the indoor. Yeah. Okay, so as you all know, because of the outdoor plays, and play, you cannot deny of play. So you cannot tell that the child should not play at all because he might be prone to accidents. Many parents are like that. Yeah, they are so much concerned about their children, they won't let them play. Why? Thinking that he might get hurt. Yeah, if my child goes and plays outside in the mud, he might get hurt, so he should not play. So you should never do that. You should never deny him of play. Let him play. Yeah. These are all the things which the child should experience. He should make his hand dirty in the mud, then only his senses will get active. He should understand each and everything, but safely, with some supervision, always. Okay, it should not be a major mishap. With the supervision, you let the child play. Yeah, okay. So, but you have to follow all the do's and don'ts during the outdoor and the indoor play. Now, some of the preschool safety tips for the indoor activities. So we'll start with the indoor now, then we'll go to the outdoor. So in the indoor physical activity, when you are playing it within the room or within the classroom or within the school, yeah. So what are the things you're going to make a point? For the physical activities, you should always have ample spacing. Yeah. So how do you do that? This rule. Yeah. So if you do not have enough space, so always for the spacing, you should have the children, if you're having a group activity, so you are going to ask the child to stretch his arms. The other one also should start from the end point and stretch his arms. So this much of space is for that child. Nobody should enter into his space, or he should not go to the other's space. Yeah. So you should have ample spacing between children, and use indoor voice to communicate when you are indoors. You should not shout. Okay. When you are playing indoors, you are playing indoors. The voice should be such high pitch that it should be soothing to the ears. You should not start shouting. Yeah, and you shouldn't disturb the next class also. Should be an indoor voice. And you should always have accessibility, easy accessibility to the first aid kit. If some child gets hurt, so all of you are searching, where's the first aid kit, where's the first aid kit, where's the first aid kit. So each and every teacher should be aware, teacher, caretaker should be aware of the first aid kit, and it should be easily available, always in front of the eyes. Yeah, and the first aid kit should not be empty. Should have all the first aid things which should be there in the first aid kit. Yeah. Then there should be good ventilation to the room. If you have closely packed room, yeah, you cannot have a good indoor activity. It shouldn't be also. So always the room should be well ventilated. Good air, yeah, and good light. Preschool safety at craft time. This is the time where children are more likely to get hurt. Yeah, they are more likely to have lots of cuts, lots of pokings here and there during the craft time. So the craft teacher should be very, very careful before she starts the class to the children. Okay, she should, before starting the craft activities, she should have already taught the children how to handle the materials, craft materials. For example, the scissor. You have the children friendly scissor now, okay, which is not sharp. But even then, the pencil, the sharp edges, all those can cause accidents. Yeah. So the teacher should have already taught all these safety tips to the children. And always, whenever there is a craft, you should have the teacher, if the class, children are more, should have one more attendant, keep looking at the class. Yeah. Okay. So whenever using a paintbrush or a pencil, avoid poking to their own eyes. The poking should be avoided. Okay. The child should be taught how to carry the pencil, how to carry the paintbrush, how to carry the scissor. Yeah. You know how to carry it, right? You all know. The child the child should never carry the pencil like this. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah. So that's going to poke. Yeah. Then ensure kids do not put their pencil on the top of the shirt pocket. This is also a common thing. What happens? They usually have that sharp edge, and whenever they bend, it can poke into their eyes. No pencils, no pens, no sharp objects in the upper pockets. Clear? Then teach the kids to hand and manipulate with the scissors, cutters, knives before introducing any crafts that require them. So it is your duty to see to that all these sharp objects to be handled carefully. Because always prevention is much, much better to avoid the accidents. Yeah. Then preschool safety in the washroom. So this also, so usually what they do, they make, whenever they need to go to the washroom, they'll have one line formed, and the teacher or the ayah, whoever is there, they accompany all kids to the washroom. Yeah. Especially if you have this warm water as well as the cold water, you should see that the water should not be very, very hot before the child handles the taps. Yeah. So it should be just the warm water if you are using the warm water. There is no warm water, no problem. Clear? And the floor of the bathroom should be dry as much as possible. What you can do is, the toilet can be made in a separate area, and this area can be kept dry, mopping it each and every time. So that's not your job anyways. So the housekeeping staff who would be available should take care of it. Okay? And you should not have any buckets filled with water and kept it there. It so happens sometimes kids love playing with water, even at home also. Please see to that, if you have small kids, don't fill the bucket and keep, because child can tumble into it. Many accidents have happened like that. Yeah, and even the heaters which they keep, which they use to boil the water, and even the hot waters, hot water, they forget and they just leave the child in the bathroom. A lot of cases have happened. So please see to that you take all these precautions. Yeah, and regularly check the washroom floor and check that it is not wet or slippery, and the maximum temperature of the water should be such that it should not cause burns. Yeah, scalds basically. Then washroom should be child size, where faucets, toilet bowls are reachable, and if not, stepping stools should be provided. So the taps and all those things should be made child friendly. Even the toilet, the commode sitting should also be made child friendly, so that the child can use it easily. Okay. Then do not allow the kids to run in and out of the washroom, and check there are no corners which are just protruding out, the sharp corners which can hurt the child. Okay. These are some of the indoor safety measures which you are going to take. So coming to the outdoor safety measures, playground safety. Yeah. So the first and the foremost point is, you should, before taking them to the playground, you can in the indoor itself, you can ask the child that, see, tomorrow we are going to have a play, outdoor play. So we'll practice how to play when I'm taking you to the ground. So you can have a practice session in the school itself and then take them to the playground. So in the practice session itself, you are going to tell what all the child has to follow. Like, he has to take turns, he should not rush. All of them, it's a play, no? Everybody loves playing. So they just rush upon. All of them to the slide, all of them to the swing. Yeah? That should not happen. You should teach them to take turns. So first he will go, followed by him, you're going to go. Yeah? And you should have different play equipments. If you have different play equipments, you assign this 10 minutes, they'll be playing in this. This group will be playing with the slide. For another 10 minutes, they'll be playing with the swing. So take turns like that. Okay? Na? Then teacher supervision is a must, always. Then proper playground surface is very essential. So when you are taking the child to the playground, outdoor, especially the injuries happen because of the surface, the playground surface. Yeah, the floor or the nowadays you have that artificial mats. Yeah, so which are child friendly. Even though the child falls, they never get hurt. You have that. In case we do not have, if you are taking them to the open playground, they usually fill it with the sand or the mud. Yeah, so that even if the child falls, he'll not get hurt. And they should see that there should be no stones, so which can get which can cause harm to the child. And it should not be cemented. The floor should not be cemented. Clear? Because cemented floor also, or if there is a tiles also, it can cause, it's slippery. Tiles are slippery usually, basically, when they run. And even when they fall, there will be abrasions. Yeah? So it should be filled with the mud and the sand. All the playgrounds, they follow that rule. Yes? Yeah. And whenever they are using, and you should always have the playground equipment keeping the child's age in mind. Sorry. Okay? So you can't have the same equipments for a 2-year-old child, same equipment for a 10-year-old child or a 5-year-old child. Yeah? Okay? So you should select the play equipment what the child can use easily. Okay. Then regular maintenance and checkup of the playground equipment is a must. So always you should at least annually once, yeah, or whenever it's possible, you should always check the intactness of the playground equipments. A lot of parks, the equipments are all damaged, yeah. So you should always have a check on it because the child is going to use it. Accidents can happen if it is mishandled also and if the equipments are not in proper conditions, yeah. Okay, now coming to the slide safety. As you all know, slide, you go to this also, the turns, only one person at a time, one child at a time, and the child should not go in the reverse. They have to follow the rules. Many children they do it, huh? Okay. Then whenever he is using a slide, you should see that the slide, the surface is smooth enough. There is no breakages, yeah, otherwise it can hurt the child. Then swing safety. So whenever they are swinging, the first and the foremost rule should be no children should move in front of the swing or behind because they can get hurt very, very badly. And this also with turns, always under your supervision. So in a school you are accountable, yeah. As a teacher, when you are taking the child to a playground, if the child gets hurt in a playground, you are accountable. They'll ask what you are doing. You should have taken care of the child, yeah. So you should always be very, very careful and practice. As I told you, before you take the child to the playground, give him that enough of practice. Then coming to the safety measures, first aid. This is an important one. You need to know how you're going to react in particular situation. What are the first aid you're going to give in the particular cases. Okay. So what do you mean by this first aid? It's an immediate and temporary care given to a victim of an accident or sudden illness until the services of a physician can be obtained. So it's the first aid, it's the first help given by any person who knows about the first aid. Need not be a medical professional, any person can do this. And all of us as a citizen, you should know the basic first aid. Okay, it's a compulsion. Okay, so the basic first aid instruction is useful to all preschool teacher. Yes, of course, and further, in some major mishap, the child has to be given the initial care like checking excessive bleeding, treating for shock or preventing further harm before the medical assistance reaches, and timely first aid can prevent permanent disability and even save lives. This I have told you earlier also. If the first aid has been given immediately, you will be saving lots and lots of lives. Yeah? Okay. So coming to the tips before giving the first aid. So whenever there is an accident or when the child gets hurt, how you are going to react? Yeah. First and the foremost thing is the child should be very calm and composed. Sorry, the teacher should be very calm and composed, and you should be more patient. Yeah. You should not get panicked. Something has happened. What should I do? What should I do? You call doctor, you call here, you call there. Yeah, you call the management. You shouldn't do that. Okay, don't panic, and you should be very calm and very composed. You see what has happened. So always whenever there is an injury, whenever there is an accident, first of all you see the surroundings, how it happened, what happened. So we'll see all those things now. Then she should properly inspect the child to ascertain the type of help required. Always first observation is more important. You need to observe the child. What is the injury? How he has got injured? Where is the injury? How much of bleeding is there? Yeah. What is the type of cut? What is the injury basically? So you have to inspect, and only then you can know what to do. Then whether you have to start the artificial respiration, especially in case of choking. So if the child is not at all breathing, so you have to do one Helmick maneuver. I have already told you that. We'll discuss that again now. And then even though the child has become conscious, then you're going to immediately start the CPR. That is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So you need to know also how to do the CPR. Okay, we'll see how to do it later. Then, and in case of bleeding, the first priority always should be arrest bleeding. No matter however the injury has happened. Okay, if there is bleeding, your first aim would be to stop bleeding. Because if the blood is getting lost, if there is huge amount of bleeding, what's going to happen? The child is going to will become unconscious and it can lead to shock. Okay, because the body surface area is less and the oxygen to the brain can diminish. Okay, it can cause lots of problems. So the first and the foremost aim is stop bleeding, wherever it is from. Clear? Okay. And the teacher must prevent further injury and prevent shock. So, if the child is getting hurt because of something, you should take the child away from that area. So, you have to prevent that further injury and prevent the shock. How do you prevent shock? Usually, shock happens because of lots of bleeding. So, you are going to arrest the bleeding and do not allow the child to go into shock. Yeah. Then she should also be able to communicate properly, avoid panic, inspire confidence, and do no more than necessary until the professional help arrives. Okay. Just keep speaking to the child. Give him assurance that nothing is wrong. I am there with you. Yeah. Give him the assurance. So even after your effort, if nothing is improving, you have to wait till the medical help arrives. Yeah. Okay, so coming to the first aid, the injury part, what all can happen and what's your role in that. So tips on dealing with minor accidents. Cuts and wounds are very minor accidents. It can happen anywhere in the school or in the or at home. So what you're going to do is, first and the foremost thing is stop bleeding. So immediately what you're going to do, if the child has a fall and if he has an abrasion, you're going to wash the wound thoroughly in running tap water. Yeah, so if the child is able to move around, so take the child to the bathroom or the wash basin and thoroughly wash it and apply some antiseptic solution. Best thing is betadine if it's available in the first aid kit. Dettol, usually what happens, Dettol or other thing, it's irritating, yeah, and it causes that burning sensation, so usually children start screaming. So what you can do is, betadine is the best solution because it's the best antimicrobial, okay, agent. Then wash wound, then remove any grit or mud or other foreign matter. So in case if it has got stuck to the wound, you're going to carefully remove it if it's possible. If it's a glass, okay, don't try to, if it's a big glass, don't try to remove it. If it's a smaller one, you can just remove it, okay. So if it's a big one, just wait, yeah, it should just not be pulled like that, because it can cause more bleeding. Got it? It should be done by a professional as soon as it's removed because it has to be stitched. Clear? So if it's a very big piece, just let it be there. Yeah? But apply some antiseptic or some, just be with the child. So that give him the assurance. Then apply antiseptic solution, lotion. Then if needed, apply clean gauze covered with cotton wool padding and bandage. You should have it in your first aid kit always, the cotton wool bandage. It's cleanly autoclaved. You can do it autoclaved. Autoclavation can be done by yourself, even in the school or even at home also. What you can do is you can prepare the gauze. You can have that the cloth which comes, yeah, that bandage cloth. You can put the cotton over the bandage cloth. Put another bandage cloth over there on that thing. Make it a sandwich kind of a thing, and have it. You can have it in different sizes. You can have it in different sizes. So for the autoclavation process, for the sterilization process, what you can do is, you can keep all these in a pressure cooker. Okay, put it in a plate or something, pressure cook it. Yeah, that's the best way of autoclaving it. 1 or 2 whistles, you can pressure cook it. Put it in the pressure cooker so that is sterilized now. But the equipment or the vessel what you are keeping also, that should be sterilized. So that also has to be put in the cooker. Then dry it. Okay? Because that's the best way of autoclaving at home, if you don't have the sterilization equipments. Clear? Okay. So that should be readily made available in the first aid kit, first aid box. Yeah? along with the other medications. We'll see what all later. Then prevent bleeding. Yeah, anything, anywhere, as I told you, let it be because of the cut or because of the wound. Wait, I've not completed. Okay, so bleeding can be either internal or external, as you all know. Yeah, and it may be from either an artery or a vein. Yeah, internal bleeding, it can happen whenever the child has a fall, or if the child has fallen from a height. There could be internal bleeding in the brain or anywhere in any body part. So happens many a times internal bleeding goes unnoticed. Okay, it goes unnoticed. If it's an external bleeding, you can see that it is bleeding from somewhere. You can arrest that. But internal bleeding, you can't do much. Got it? And many shock is basically because of, one is he is got panicked. Okay, that could be because one reason of shock. The child has got scared, had a fall, and because it's just for few seconds he might be unconscious and then he can regain his consciousness. Sometimes shock can be because of internal bleeding, massive internal bleeding. In that case, the child does not come out of the shock. He'll continuously be unconscious. You can't do much for this. You have to have a medical help. Okay, it's an emergency case. Then external bleeding, it can be from an artery or a vein. So in case by mistake, if an artery is cut, the blood, the bleeding is heavy and it comes out with a force, because as you all know, the artery is a pulsatile in nature. Yeah, that gives you the oxygenated blood and it flows with the pressure. That's where you check your blood pressure, right? It flows with the pressure. If there is a cut in the artery, the bleeding does not stop easily. Okay, you need to put lot of paddings. You need to arrest the bleeding, you need to put lot of paddings, especially the venous if there is a bleeding because of the vein cut, it stops immediately. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes it bleeds and it stops. But if an artery is cut, it will take a very long time. So this is also a cause for shock, if an arterial bleed is there. Clear? You can make out the difference between an arterial bleed and a venous bleed easily. Clear? If it's an arterial bleed, the blood will just be gushing out like this. Okay? Yeah. Then, if bleeding is from an artery, I have told you, and it will be bright red in color. If it is from a vein, it will be even more darkish. If it's from an artery, it will be just bright red. If it's from the vein, it will be dark red. And it stops immediately. This will not stop immediately. Clear? And in such cases, heavy bleeding takes place and it is essential to stop, or else the blood loss can be fatal, and in severe cases it can cause an shock. So what are you going to do? Whatever is available. If you're not getting immediately the first aid kit, whatever is there, dupatta, dress, whatever is there, handkerchief, napkins. Yeah? Because your first aim is to stop bleeding. Whatever material available, use that and stop bleeding. You have to hold it very firmly and tightly so that the blood stops oozing out. Clear? Then apply pressure directly over the wound. Then hold the cloth pad firmly in place and bandage it tightly against the cut and raise the bleeding part higher. So the best thing, if it is an arterial bleed, what I can do is, or even the venous bleed, you have to raise that part higher. Take it against the gravity so that the gravity will not assist the bleeding. Clear? Okay. Then keep the victim lying down. If there is a massive bleeding, what you are going to do is, this is applicable for all, not only children, even adults also. Clear? You have to make him lie down, preferably with the foot end up. Yeah? That means head will be slightly tilted downwards. So this is just to avoid the damage to the brain if there is a massive bleeding, because brain should get its oxygen supply. There should be a constant supply of oxygen to the brain, or else the victim can go into shock. Clear? Then if the bleeding persists, then you have to immediately call a doctor. These are the only things what you can do. Apart from this, you can't do anything. Okay? With this, your role will be finished. Even though if the bleeding is not stopped, even though the person is not responding, he might have gone to a shock. So immediate care is required. Yeah? Okay. Any doubts now?
If a child
Bleeds from nose.
I've still not completed that. It will come again later. Okay. So prevention of minor accidents at home and school. So what you can do to prevent, because as you all know, you have to take proper precautions so that it doesn't happen. Accidents can happen anytime. So what you can do is, do not keep within the reach of children sharp objects like blades, scissors, open tin cans, knives, forks, nails and any potentially dangerous play items, so that you do not take it and experiment out of it. Yeah? Because children just experiment it out. Yeah? The scissors or the knives, whatever is there, see to that it is not reachable to the child. Yeah? Then knives, hand tools and utensils should be kept in racks or drawers, preferably under the lock and key. I don't know how far it's possible in the kitchen, but see to that it should not be reachable to the child. So even though you're making it reachable to the child should be made aware of like if you use this, what's going to happen? Yeah? Okay. Then children should not run about with sharp or heavy objects in hand. Keeping something in hand, knife or a scissor or anything, you should not run around either in the school or even at home, because it can harm anybody. Yeah? Then open and close doors gently and discourage children from playing games in which the doors are involved, especially doors and windows. Every child, at least once in his lifetime, he would have had that experience. Yeah? Hand, just giving to the door or a window and smashing and mashing. Ew. Okay, very painful. Yeah? Okay, you please see to that children are not encouraged to play with the doors or the windows. Okay. Then broken pieces of glass or porcelain or ceramic should be swept immediately. If you have something which is broken, so those glass pieces or the ceramic pieces or the porcelain pieces should be cleaned up immediately. Yeah? Okay. So, now in general we'll be discussing about the conditions. The first thing we'll be discussing about the choking. We discussed this earlier also. So choking occurs whenever there is a foreign object either in the windpipe, in the throat or in the nose. From the nose it has gone to the throat. Yeah? So as I told you, because the children, especially the esophagus and the windpipe, that's the trachea, it's not that very well developed, and it so happens the tongue, whenever if you have seen also, whenever you are speaking, you can't eat anything or even you can't drink. Yeah? That's one natural gift what God has given, that you should not speak when you are eating, because it so happens, and they say like, what do you call that? I don't know in English what they say. Hore hoitu antara. I mean, when you are eating, if it just gets into the lungs, if it just enters into the windpipe, immediately you start coughing. Yeah? Because it will not allow any of the food particles to enter into the windpipe. Because you have a natural, what you call a gate kind of a thing, a valve which closes the windpipe whenever you are eating something or drinking something. Huh? Epiglottis, not epiglottis basically. Okay, so that just closes, and whenever you are speaking, you can't drink or eat anything. Yeah, when you are speaking, your larynx is open. Okay, larynx is the one which will be there in that level. Okay, so that's going to, it's just a flap kind of a thing. It closes when you are drinking something, you can't speak because it closes the windpipe, and automatically this closes the food pipe. Both cannot be done simultaneously. But in case of choking, what happens? Whenever the child has this, there will be a foreign body here, and since it's going to block the airway, the child will not be able to breathe. Yeah, and he starts choking. That means he's not able to breathe. He'll be showing with his hand, because he's not able to speak also, because it has blocked both the larynx as well as the pharynx. Clear? He's not able to speak and he's just showing with some gestures. So that means you have to think that the child has, maybe he has eaten something, yeah, maybe through the nose it has gone inside, okay. So you have to think that there is an immediate choking. So what are you going to do with the choking? We'll discuss that now. Yeah. And because choking cuts off the oxygen immediately to the brain, 3 to 4 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, the child is off with shock. Yeah, it has to be given an immediate attention. Otherwise the child can die also. Then the universal sign of choking is hands clutched to the throat. This is just the universal sign. Each and every child, usually they do this. And if it's a very small child, you can't make out that he'll not be able to cry. You can't hear that cry. If it's a small infant. Okay. So he'll be crying but you can't hear it. It's because of the choke. Okay. So what are the signals you'll be seeing for this, looking for this? Inability to talk. The child will not be able to talk. Then difficulty breathing or noisy breathing. Then inability to cough forcefully. Then skin, lips and nails turning blue or dusky. This is in the later stages if the choking persists for more than 4 to 5 minutes. There will be bluish discoloration around the lips, the skin, the nails, everywhere. So if there is a bluish discoloration, that means there is a cyanosis. That means the oxygenated blood has not been supplied from the body. So the the baby is not getting the oxygenated blood to its peripheries. Clear? Then loss of consciousness. So these are all the signals or the symptoms of a choking. Okay. So now how we are going to clear the airway if the child has choked? First of all, you don't get panicked. So you encourage the adult or the child to relax, breathe deeply and cough to remove the object. So if it is slightly in the upper airways, with just a normal cough, it comes out. So ask the child to be calm and try and cough it out. Yeah. So usually it comes out, and usually choking, it doesn't happen because you have the natural reflex phenomena. Whenever you take something into your nose, you have that sneeze. Whenever it goes to the windpipe, you have that cough. So the cough brings it out. Sometimes it misses. That's how it gets blocked. Okay. So and if coughing does not remove the blockage, or if the casualty is an infant, then call for an ambulance. So if there is no cough, you can try the Helmick maneuver, which we'll be seeing how to do it. Then here if the choking is occurring, the Red Cross recommends a 5 and 5 approach, delivering to the first aid. 5 and 5 approach means, what you're going to do is, just see this image first. This is the Helmick maneuver with an adult. I have told you this. Okay, sitting on a chair. Because why I told you a chair? Because it's according to your height also. If the victim is tall enough, you can't do that maneuver. So you can just ask him to sit in a chair and try this maneuver. This maneuver, it has to be synchronized with his expiration. That is when he is exhaling out. Okay? Not during inspiration. You ask the person to take a deep breath, and while exhaling out, give that abdominal thrust. Okay? This is the Helmick maneuver, and that is done with the child. Yeah? This we'll see later. That is done for a small infant. Yeah? If it's an infant, what you can do is, you can give 5 back blows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can have the child upside down, give 5 back blows here. Okay, especially here. Just underneath the neck region. Yeah? Just lower to the neck region, you're going to give that 5 back blows. Yeah? 5 back blows should be alternated with 5 abdominal thrust. 5 back blows, even if it has not come out, other side and abdominal thrust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continuous. Again 5 back blows and 5 abdominal thrust. Till the object is out. Got it? Yeah? Okay. So this is the Helmick maneuver. This is what is called as the Helmick maneuver. For kids, for infants, it's different. You can have them in the hand and the just upside down. It usually comes out. It usually comes out. Only sometimes it misses. Okay. So if it does not come out, then what are you going to do? If the child is continuously unable to breathe, he is going to shock. You are going to immediately start with the CPR. That is called as the cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Okay, CPR. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Cardio means heart, pulmonary means lung, resuscitation means you are going to bring it back. Okay, making it back again. You are going to activate it again. So what you are going to do here, you can make the child or the person lie down on a flat, hard surface, not over the bed. Got it? Flat, hard surface. So imagine this is a person. So for a child it is different and for a adult it is different. Okay? So for a child, what are you going to do? You're going to clench your fist like this, one on top of the other, using your pad here. This is the thinner eminence. This pad, what you're going to do is, and your position is very, very important here. It should not be on a table like this. It should be on the ground. You're going to just sit next to the victim, yeah, with your knees down. On your knees, you're going to sit. Just imagine this is the victim, and I'm just sitting like that. And you're going to have your arms straight, fully extended. Clear? So if it's an adult, what are you going to do? Just in this region. This is the sternum here, just over the sternum. Not here or here or here, anywhere. Just over the sternum, what you're going to do is, you're going to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 thrust. Pressure. And the pressure should not be from your elbow, it should be from your upper arm, shoulder. Okay? It should be like this. 5. Okay? You want to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If there is some other assistant with you, if he is doing the mouth-to-mouth respiration, mouth-to-mouth also should be very, very careful nowadays, because you don't know whether the person is an HIV or whatever it is. Yeah? Because it can affect you also. So for mouth-to-mouth, if you have an ambu bag, you can use it. If you do not have, if you know that the victim is a normal, he doesn't have any other problems, then you can give the mouth-to-mouth respiration. So if you are only person doing it, alternate this CPR, that is a thrust, with the mouth-to-mouth respiration. 5 mouth-to-mouth respiration. What you're going to do is, you're going to take the air into your mouth. Okay? You're just going to blow it out. Take so much of air so that 5 should be able to give it 5 times. It has to go inside, no? You're pushing it into the lungs. You're doing the CPR. This is for the heart. Whatever mouth-to-mouth respiration you're giving, it's for the lungs. Got it? Okay. So this, when you're doing it for a child, if it's a child, you can't give the same pressure. So what are you going to do? The arm should be extended, but here the pressure should come from the elbow. Yeah? You're going to bend like this. Because here automatically the pressure reduces. Clear? So when you're giving it, no lifting hand. Your hand should be there on the sternum itself. Here itself. No lifting hand. What you're doing is you're pressing it against. The sternum gets pressed to the heart. You are pumping the heart. Artificially you're pumping the heart. So you should not lift your hands. Till you complete the 5 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just imagine that somebody is there. How will I show you? Okay. We'll have this. Just imagine. Huh? See, if this is the thing, I've just kept it like this. I haven't lifted my hand. Okay? And my position is not good, so I can't show it properly. Yeah? So it should be this way. The pressure should come from this pad. Okay? Straight, extended. If you're giving it for an adult, with full your body weight, what you're going to do is, the pressure should come from the shoulder, no bending of your elbow like this. Clear? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alternate with mouth to mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here. 5 times you're going to do. Even then, if the person is not responding, you can start one more cycle of CPR. Even then, if he is not responding, check his parameters, pulses here, all. Okay? Even though he is not responding, you can't do anything. So you have to immediately shift him. That's the only thing as a first aid you can do. Got it? And if it's a child, as I told you, you're going to use your elbow. You're going to keep your arm straight, but pressure should come from your elbow. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can bend your elbow a little now. Yeah? Because it should be from your elbow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if it's a small infant, just 2 fingers straight over the sternum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And alternating with the mouth to mouth. Yeah, there you have to give, don't give so much of air blows because it's a small kid. So just the amount which is required. Normal breath, you're not taking extra amount of air. Clear? Okay. So for an infant, straight, just 2 fingers, 1, and here the pressure should come from the arm you can give, no problem. So depending, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the CPR, what you do. Very, very important, you should know what to do in such kind of emergency cases. So this, even after this, if it's not, usually they respond, and usually with the Helmick maneuver, the particle comes out. If it's not coming out, if it's not getting better, I have to immediately shift him. This is the only thing what you can do. Got it? Any doubts?
No, it is very difficult while shocking. It's very difficult to breathe. You don't, in that time you should take deep breath. No? How it is possible?
He can take a breath. He's not able to cough it out. Okay? He can take a breath. And if at all it's not possible also, what I can do is give him the abdominal thrust. Usually he vomits it out. Got it? He'll vomit it out. Especially in the expiration phase. They'll be taking normal breaths, but only thing is they'll not be able to cough out, they'll not be able to do it. Yeah. That's what, he should not get panicked. If he's getting panicked, it's going to go much more deeper. Clear? Any doubts other than this? Clear? Next, burns and scalds. So burns, as you all know, it is caused by dry heat. That's a fire, flame, so anything. So scalds is because of the moist heat. Just like the boiling milk and the boiling oil which is spilled, or the boiling water. So the burn because of that is called as a scald, and burn because of a dry heat it's called as a burns. Yeah? So burns and scalds may be either superficial or deep. So if it's superficial, it can be either superficial or deep. If it's superficial, only the skin is involved. You'll just have that burning sensation and only the skin is involved, and some of its structures, the skin structures, maybe epidermis, dermis, till the dermal layer, not beyond that. So if it is deep, it involves the entire skin layer along with some of the muscles. If it is more deep, it can go till the bone level. Yeah. So that depth, we are not going to worry, like they have different scales for that, measurement scales. So we are not worrying about that. You just need to know it can be either superficial or deep. Superficial involving only the skin, deep involving the muscles as well as the related structures underneath. Okay, underneath the skin. So, and usually in children, if there is a burn, they end up with shock very immediately. And usually around 40% of the burns also children can get into shock. Because the surface area is less, the available surface area is less, okay, and if the bodily structures are burnt, it does not have a vital tissues to survive. Clear? Clear? So that's why they go into shock much faster. And superficial burns or scars in the skin can become red or blistered, and deep burns, it's the sign of a shock, and there'll be very severe pain in deep burns. And you can see that, you can see the tissues inside just burning out. Okay? Then following steps should be taken in cases of a burn. What do you do? Immediately, first, take out the child from the cause of the fire. Let it be whatever. Okay? Let it be a fire which has just caught up, or the heat oil or heat water or whatever it is. So he has to be removed from that area. Then treat the shock as first priority. If the child has become unconscious, he has to be treated for shock. Treated for shock. Here also, if he is totally unconscious, if he is not at all responding, you can even start check his pulses and all those. You can start CPR also. It's not only for choking, CPR. Okay, it can be either for drowning also. That means somebody, if they've gone into the waters, yeah. For drowning also you can start that. For drowning also you can start this Helmick maneuver. Clear? So, and you're going to give the CPR in case the patient's not responding. Clear? Depending on the burn area. Where is the burn? If it's in the chest region, you can't do anything much. So, but if it's in the peripheries, you can definitely. Then lie the patient down and keep him warm with a blanket. Here, there is always a two thoughts whether the blanket has to be given or not to be given. So now what they say is immediately they should be rinsed, or they should be given cold blankets or cold water. Immediately they should be put with the cold water, drenched with cold water. So there is always a two school of thought whether to apply the blanket or not to. Clear? But you have these fire blankets which is available in the market. If you have those fire blankets, you can use those fire blankets, but not the normal ones what we use at home. Clear? Okay. Then do not remove any clothing which has stuck to the burn part. So if there is a clothing which has got stuck to the burn part, you don't try to remove it, because with that what's going to happen is you're going to further damage the tissues. Clear? Then remove the bangles or the rings, whichever, or the socks if the child is worn, or even the cloths, because what happens is later after few hours the entire part gets swollen. So it's a normal phenomena. Usually because of the burn, the water which is lost, it starts accumulating in the spaces whichever is available in the body. Okay, that's how there will be swelling. So you have to remove all those extra accessories like bangles or rings or cloths or socks which the child is wearing, so it does not cause damage to him later. Then cover the exposed skin with Vaseline and dressing. This will reduce the pain and guard against infection. So the exposed skin, if it's a very minor burn, you can keep the part with wherever there is a burn, running tap water, preferably the cold water, the ice cold water. Okay, then you can apply the silver sulfur diazine cream which you get for the burn oil or whatever. You can keep it in the first aid kit. Okay, you should have that in the first aid kit. So you can apply that and transfer the patient to the nearest health center as early as possible in case of deep burns, if the burn is more. Clear? Minor burn you can manage, no problems. Next, snake bite. Snake bite, it's common when the schools are in outdoors. Yeah, slightly remote places. So when the child has gone out to play in the playground, there can be snake bites. Snake bite can easily be found out because you have the two marks. Yeah, so it can be easily visible. It's clearly visible, the snake's fangs, and the child may show the signs of poisoning. Yeah, poisoning or bleeding or paralysis, and in such cases the first aider may proceed as follows. So if you see immediately, if it has been a long time, the child had a snake bite, then the approach would be different. And if it's an immediately, if you have seen, what you're going to do is the part wherever there is a snake bite, just immediately above it, you're going to tie a cloth so the poison does not spread to the entire body. It should be firm enough, tight enough. Yeah. Then what you're going to do is, you're going to, if you have a blade or something, a slightly a sharp one, you're going to just cut that 1 inch around. That's the way how you do it. So I can't do anything. Okay. 1 centimeter deep you have to cut. If you don't cut, what's going to happen? The blood which has got infected with the poison, that can spread to the entire body. So you have to cut that area and remove the blood from that area. It can be done in the old films. Okay, but you should be careful. Yeah, you should be careful. If you have some open wounds in your mouth, the poison can get into your mouth also, in your body also. Yeah. So you can suck, or alternately what you can do, if you have, you can put a pressure and try to remove the blood as much as possible. But sucking only will help out. But we'll see what alternate other things. If you have that suction apparatus, you can just remove it with the suction. So if it's not present, see what best you can do. Then apply potassium permanganate crystals in the cut and apply a clean dressing. So you have this potassium permanganate crystals. If the schools is in outdoor areas, please always keep the potassium permanganate crystals in the first aid box. So immediately you're going to put it. Okay. That will avoid the poison to spread. That will halt the poison spreading into the body. Potassium permanganate. Then treat for shock. If the child is already into the shock, you are going to treat for the shock accordingly. CPR, start. Okay. Then transport the patient immediately to the nearest health center for the anti-snake venom therapy. So immediately what you are going to do is only this. But if you are seeing the person after a long time, yeah, the child is just down there, and if he is having that frothing from the mouth and all, that means this poison has already spread to the body. So what are you going to do is, no first aid, nothing there, immediately shifting. Clear? Start with the CPR if possible. So if not, direct shifting to the hospital. Clear? Okay. Next, bee, wasp and hornet stings. So these occur in the rural or abandoned urban areas. Then these insects leave their sting at this puncture site of puncture, and this has to be removed. So usually if there's a sting means they'll have that one small sting kind of a thing. Yeah. So that has to be removed because that can be poisonous. Yeah. That has to be removed carefully, and the site of the sting looks red, swollen, and it's very painful. And in such cases, what you're going to do is remove the sting with a pair of forceps if it's available, or your nail, always ready, available. Yeah, sharp nails you can use, you can remove it and apply cold compress to the site, because that's very, very painful and becomes swollen also, it becomes red also. So you have to give cold compression to the site of the sting. Then give antihistamines. Antihistamines is the anti-allergic agents. So you can give tablet or syrup or whatever is available in your first aid kit. So immediately that has to be given. So even that, if the child is having some shock or something like that, take him to the hospital. Usually bee and wasp and all, it's fine, it's better, it comes back to the normal immediately. But sometimes there are some insects which are poisonous in nature, so then it's better to just take them to the hospital and just take an opinion of a pediatrician. Okay. Then dog bite. How many of you had this dog bite in your early ages? Nobody? Huh? Okay. So when a dog bites the child, it should be taken very seriously. Yeah, because it can be a rabid dog. Rabid dog means it can lead to rabies. So you all know that. Yeah. Why rabies is very, very deadly? Because the virus, it does not grow immediately. It takes at least 10 days to 15 days to show its full symptoms in the person. So what they say, if there's a dog bite, especially if it's a street dog, if it's a dog, if the dog has been vaccinated properly, and if it's the pet dog, no issues, because they would have given proper care. But if it's a street dog, you never know. So what you should do is, you should note which street dog was it, take that stray dog and just tie it next to your door. Okay? Keep watching the dog. Don't watch the person. Keep watching the dog for a day or for a week or 10 days. If nothing happens to the dog, then you are safe. Okay? If the dog survives, then you will be surviving. It's like that. Yeah, that's true actually. So in rabies, that so happens. It so happens because the virus becomes activated in the dog also. So and the virus, what happens? It becomes very active, and the dog dies because of the virus. So, yeah, you're in danger. Yes. Okay. So what you're going to do is immediately, whatever the dog is, you're going to take the anti-rabies vaccination. Yeah? Okay. If the vaccine has not been taken, it can lead to rabies. But before that, we'll see what is the main first aid what you have to do. So at the dog bite site, what you're going to do is wash it with clean soap, water. Wash that area, apply mercurochrome, that's a cream which comes. So you have to apply that cream and transport the patient to the nearest health center for the anti-rabies injection. So they'll give that anti-rabies injection. Earlier it was very, very painful. They used to give round umbilical 14 injections, but now it is reduced. Okay, they give it over here. But rabies, why there is death is, the rabies infection, usually when it is at its peak, the virus when it is at its peak, it causes spasms in the body. Okay, it will spasm, spasm means you understand, right? The blood vessel just collapses. The muscle collapses. It just shrinks like this. It goes into spasm and relaxation. Okay, and usually if there is rabies, they have water phobia. As soon as they see water or as soon as they see light, that's called as photophobia as well as hydrophobia. If they see water, they have that spasms. Yeah, their esophagus and all their muscles, the smooth muscles especially go into spasm. They can't speak, they can't do anything, and if they see the light, they go into it goes into spasm. That's how they die. Okay, it leads to cardiac arrest because there is a smooth muscle spasm. Cardiac muscles also go into spasm. Yeah. So there is a dog bite. What are you going to do? First thing, give the anti-rabies injection also. That's the foremost thing, and please have the dog next to you. Just keep watching the dog. Okay. Next, foreign body in the eye. So if there is a foreign body in the eye, I have told you what you're going to do. You're going to keep the eye in a running tap water. First thing, clean running tap water. You're going to keep the eye in that, and or else in a bucket. Ask the child or ask the person to open and close the eyes a number of times till he feels that the object has come out. Okay, so he has to repeat this maneuver, and still if you can see it from your, and if it's not coming out, if you can just see it, use a small cotton wisp. Don't use your hand because your hand can be dirty. Okay, or else you can use that this thing also, the one the earbuds. So you can just use it. If you can see, just try to remove it from that earbud. Okay. If it still persists, you can just give some the eye drops if the irritation persists. Clear? So apart from that, electric shock. You asked about nose bleeding, right? So if there is nose bleeding, you have to always give the cold packs.
Sitting or lying?
Sitting also no problem. Need not be in a lying position because it stops immediately. Okay. Then electric shock. A child may get an electric shock. Electric shock can happen anywhere to anybody because of the live wires. And if it is because of a major live wire, there can be instant death. Yeah, you will have no chance for doing any first aid. So, but if it's the normal, like the switches and all, if the child just puts in his hand into that, so it can be a minor shock. So, there, how you handle that situation. So, the first and the foremost thing, what are you going to do is switch off the mains. Wherever, whoever is near to the main switchboard, you don't go run and do it because the child is already in shock. Whoever is there nearby, ask him to switch off the mains. And don't touch the child, you don't touch him. Okay, you're going to use a wood stick or a wooden thing so that, and just disconnect the child from the current source. Yeah, just can just give one beating, or with the help of the wood source, just try to pull him out from there. Clear? And usually what happens, the child is into shock because of this electric shock. He becomes unconscious. If the electric current is more which is passed into the body, he can become unconsciousness. They'll be unconscious. He can faint. So if there is fainting, just see for a while and get him to an area where it is clear, it is ventilated, well ventilated. Don't give him anything orally, and make him lie down in a slight side-lying position, not straight. Okay, slight side-lying position, so that he does not choke again, because the tongue will be relaxed. It can go back and block the windpipe, so that they will be choking. Clear? Slight side-lying position. Just see if he is responding. If he is not responding, okay, then you have to see whether his pulse is intact, his heart is beating or not. If it is not, start the CPR. If it is intact, just wait. Clear? He'll come out of the shock. Okay? So if not, start the CPR immediately. So even though if he is not responding, shift him. Yeah? Major shock, major electrical input, you can't do anything. There will be instant death, because that travels through the heart, and the heart, because as you all know, heart also runs with a current. It generates its own electricity, generates its own current kind of a thing. So if there is something which comes at a much higher wattage than what it's working, it's going to arrest that working. So that's how there is cardiac arrest in electric shock. Clear? Okay. So what you want to do? Best and the foremost thing is to avoid all these shocks. So if you have the classrooms, see to that it is not reachable to the child. So if there are open switches like that, so what are you going to do? You get the covered ones now. So it has to be a covered switches. Clear? Then see to that there is no water which is spilled in the area. See to that there are no wires which are left out, live wires, and always there should be a regular checkup, and earthing is a must. Clear? Okay. Next, fainting. Fainting can be because of many reasons. So fainting is just very common among children, particularly while standing in the sun for a long time. That is called as the sunstroke or the heat stroke, and it is caused mainly due to fatigue or fright, and it generally takes place due to diminished amount of blood reaching the brain. No matter whatever is the cause, fainting is just because the brain is not getting its oxygen supply properly. Okay? Then, so what are you going to do in case of fainting? You're going to make the child lie down with his feet and up, head slightly downwards. Yeah? You can have him in a slight side-lying position. Just keep a pillow underneath so that he is inclined to either left or either right, any side. Okay? Then do not splash water on the person, because just get up abruptly, and that can again lead to some problems. Then on regaining consciousness, the child should not be allowed to stand soon. You offer him drinks only if he asks for. Okay? So if he says, I need some water, don't give him in the lying position, slightly inclined up, and give him the water or whatever he is asking for. Then if the child is sitting at the time of fainting or likelihood of fainting, the teacher should put her head on the back of the child's neck and lower his head before the knees. So in case sitting, some children are having fainting, if you see that he is getting fainted now, so just put your hand on the head so that his head does not, okay, he does not injure himself. That's it. So otherwise he will bang his head to the wall or whatever is there. Then after the child regains consciousness, a piece of wet cloth maybe placed on the forehead, and this will give the child a feeling of comfort and freshness. Just on the forehead, just to make him feel comfortable. That's it. Then if fainting is prolonged or recurrent, and then call the doctor. So recurrent fainting is commonly seen if the child is having some cardiac problems. Okay? Some heart problems, recurrent fainting is seen in that case. So if he faints very often in the class, then there is some serious problem which has to be taken care of. Clear? Okay. So nose bleeding, it can be caused due to a blow or a sudden rise in blood pressure due to a violent activity or atmospheric change due to some local disorder. And normally the nosebleeds is very common in the early years of age. So maybe till 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. Later it subsides by itself. Okay. There is nothing much to panic about the nose bleeding. And here what you are going to do, you can make the child sit straight. Just give the cold compresses, cold packs. Yeah. And gently press the nose around the thumb so that the bleeding stops. And usually stops within 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Then in case if it is not stopping, just take one opinion of the doctor. There is no need to make him lie down or anything like that. Clear? Next, fractures. So, fractures very common when they are playing outdoors. Yeah, it can happen anywhere to any person. So, what is a fracture? Basically, it's just a discontinuity in the bone or a break in the bone. So that leads to fractures. You have lots and lots of different types of fractures, like you have simple fracture, you have a compound fracture, you have a complex fracture, you have an closed fracture, open fracture. Yeah, open fracture where the bone is just protruding out, closed fracture where the skin is intact but the bone is broken inside. Okay, you have lots and lots of different type of fractures. So the therapy also depends on the type of fracture. So the first aid what you can do in case of a fracture is, firstly, your first aim should be preventing further damage. Whichever part there is a fracture, you're just going to immobilize it with any way, whatever is available. Even if you have a bat, you can use that. Even if you have a stick, a small stick also, you can use it, and just wrap it with a cloth or a dupatta, whatever is available, just to not move that part, because further movement can further damage the tissues around the fracture. Clear? Okay. Then you have to prevent pain or making the patient more comfortable. You can just give them some painkillers which you know that this is a painkiller. So if it's available, you can give the painkiller till you take them to a doctor. Yeah. Then placing full support under and completely across the possible fracture. Should be totally supported, and patient should be kept warm to avoid shock. Then shift the patient immediately to a healthcare center where the further therapy can take place. Okay, and some important don'ts in case of fractures. You should never attempt to set the fracture by yourself. If you are seeing a bone which has come out, just don't try to press it and put it back. Okay, so you should never do it. What your role is only to prevent the damage. You're just going to immobilize that part. That's it. You're not going to put it back. Clear? Okay. Then because it so happens, the nerves can get cut. So if the nerves get cut, once a nerve is cut, no matter whatever you do, it cannot be repaired again. There will be paralysis of that part. Okay, it can totally get paralyzed. Then do not attempt to put the bone back even if the fragment of the bone is projecting out of the skin. It may happen in case of some of the compound fracture. Even though it's an open fracture, you're not going to put it back. Even if it's a closed fracture, you're not going to put it back. Then never clean the wound, as there is always a possibility of introducing dirt and germs into the tissue. So in case of an open wound, you usually clean the wound, right? But in case of fracture, if you see in the dirt or something, don't try to clean it, because it can go into the tissues again. Clear? If it's an open fracture. If it's a compound fracture, it can go into the body. So what are you going to do? Just leave it. Clear? Don't do anything. Just immobilize that part and shift him to the hospital. Clear? So this is the end of this chapter. That is first aid and safety measures. Any doubt, anything you need to know apart from this, whatever I have discussed? These are common things which I have taken, which you usually encounter in a preschool level. Anything else you need to know apart from this?
And nose bleeding is happening. Nose bleeding is happening. It is a good blood or bad blood?
Don't worry about good blood and bad blood. It just happens because the nose bleeding usually happens because the vessels get dilated.
Okay. In my childhood time, I
had till 7-8 years.
Okay.
9 years also I had.
It is up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, ma'am. It is.
It reduces. It will stop by the age of 9 to 10 years.
After all, I am not have that much.
Because your tissues are all well grown now. Yeah? It just happens in the growing age. So the vessels become dilated because of the heat. Usually happens in summers because there is overheat and the vessels get dilated. Okay? And here you have those sinuses kind of a thing where it just bleeds. Nose is the area where it gets easy accessibility to just come out. That's it. Okay? Anything else you need to know? First aid and safety measures. That's it? Okay. I think we'll break now, then we'll continue in the afternoon. Yeah, so good afternoon. This is last but one chapter, that is chapter 8, which is immunizations and inoculations.
चिकन पॉक्स के वैक्सीनेशन के बाद भी आया
I'll tell you after this. Okay? So immunizations and inoculations, almost all of us here would have taken this in our early age, and it's very, very important. As you know, this subtitle I've given as short of prevention. Yes? So the immunizations, inoculations is nothing but the other name for vaccinations, what we give to the children. Okay? These shots are only for preventing. Yeah? It's not for treating. Clear? It's for preventing the severity of the disease output or the outcome. Clear? Okay. So, what are these immunizations? So, immunizations are very, 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 very important or critical for protection of babies against lot of illnesses, especially the viral, and you have some bacterial vaccinations against some bacterial infections also, and this basically enhances or boosts the immunity of the child. You all know how a vaccine is prepared, all of you? All know? How is it prepared? Yeah. From that strain itself. For example, if you take the polio or even the rabies or even the chicken pox, yeah, or even the BCG, that is for the tuberculosis. So the vaccine is actually driven out from the source. That means the person who is affected or the bacteria which is caused for the disease, from that itself they will create the vaccine and they put it into a healthy human being. Okay? So that because we have some cells in our body called as the memory cells. Okay? So what this does is, because the person has never been affected by that vaccine, and these are all given in a very small dosage, a small shot of bacteria. So for example, if you take the BCG, that is which protects against the tuberculosis, that is Bacilli calmette-guerin. So that, you have even the live attenuated vaccine also. You have killed vaccine, you have different varieties in that. You have live attenuated, you have a non-live without any life in it. So that's what you're telling. So you have attenuated vaccinations. Clear? So what they do is, that has been given as a small dosage to the baby. So now, since the baby's cell has got a new infection, so that infection causing cell or the bacteria which has entered into the body, that generates the antibodies against those bacteria. Okay? Against the antigen which has entered into the body. So what has happened? it has produced the antibodies against that. Yes? Now, so since the antibodies has already been generated, that is present in the body, it keeps circulating in the body, it is there in the memory. Clear? Now, in case if the same child has been affected by tuberculosis later in later ages, it's not that means if he has taken BCG vaccine, he'll never get the tuberculosis again. He might contract with TB. Clear? But since it has already been produced the antibodies once against that tuberculosis, now if the actual bacteria comes, so it is already there in his memory, he knows how to handle the situation. The body cells know how to tackle it. So the severity of the disease which is going to produce because of the fresh bacteria which has entered the body now, that will be very, very less. Got it? It's not going to cause more harm to the body because it's already there in the memory. Because already the body knows how to handle the situation. Because it has already been affected once. Got the point? The same is applicable to almost all the vaccinations which has been given to the baby. Clear? So you are initially itself you are making it active. Even if the live situation comes, even if the live virus comes or the live bacteria comes or the live fungus comes also, he knows how to deal with it. The severity will be less, okay? So the symptoms also will be less. And you can handle the situation, you can treat the patient much easier. Got it? Okay, now, so immunizations are important for children as well as for people around them also. So, for children and around them, matlab? Some vaccinations you take it prophylactically. Yeah? Some vaccinations are compulsory. We'll see this compulsory vaccines, which are the compulsory vaccines. Sometimes it so happens if there is an outbreak of hepatitis or if there is an outbreak of polio, the small kids in that entire area will be vaccinated. Even though they do not have that virus in them, but everybody in that area will be vaccinated against it. Because the person who is affected, I will take the best example is a polio. Okay, the polio virus. So that will be live in the stools of the polio affected person, the virus affected person. Okay, so that can infect not less than people around 10 to 20 kilometers also. It just passes on to all. So what they do prophylactically, they give the vaccination to even all the healthy children also. That's how you have this polio programs, which are still running in our country. And they have said they're going to make India polio virus free in the next few years. They have been trying this every year. They say that this year it's going to be polio free, this year it's going to be polio free. But here or there are still some positive cases of polio reporting. And our government spends crores and crores of rupees on this. Okay? Earlier days, when maybe your parents or your grandparents, during those days polio was very, very common. So that's how you see lots of people still affected with polio. Yeah? But now the incidence is very, very less. It's almost nil. But in some places it's still there. So the polio eradication is a must. So that's how the drive is going on still. We'll see, hopefully we should attain by this year. Yeah? Because that virus will not go very easily. That's how you have repeated cycles of polio vaccinations, which keeps on happening. Okay? Fine. Then all childhood diseases are communicable, and with the exception of tetanus, so many school systems require an up-to-date record of immunizations before entering. So most of the childhood diseases are communicable. For example, the polio or even the hepatitis, because it can get contaminated with one or the other way. Yeah? So that's how only few, like an exception like the tetanus. So whenever you have a fall, you go and get one tetanus shot, right? Tetanoid toxin, TT injection, what we call. So that is viable in the dusty area, in the mud and all those areas. Only that is not communicable. Otherwise, most of the ones which we are going to discuss now, it's almost all are communicable diseases. Means it can spread from one person to the other. So that's how you need to have a protection against those diseases. So how do you get that protection? Through these inoculations. Clear? Yeah? Okay. It does not mean that only children will be getting vaccinations. So for adults also you have lots of vaccine. We'll see that. Then in some areas the school system may even require double doses of particular ones. In some schools, even though they have taken, they would give another shot before the schooling. For example, the DTP booster. So all the booster doses will be given now and then, even the hepatitis. Okay, hepatitis A and the hepatitis B, even the Hib. And polio. Till the age of 5, it's compulsory that all kids should take, whenever there is a polio drive, they should take that vaccinations. Okay. Then, while immunizations will guard against the cross-contamination, there can be some side effects since the preparations actually contain live weakened viruses. So, nowadays they are preparing the vaccination in such a way that these symptoms or the side effects because of the vaccination has come to very, very minimal. But earlier days, after each and every vaccination shot, the child used to have fever. Okay? Fever is a positive sign actually. There is nothing to worry about the fever because fever comes only when there is an antigen antibody reaction. Okay? So if there is a fever, that means the the vaccine is working. Got it? Okay? So, but now they have made it in such a way the symptoms of fever is reduced, but the vaccine will still be working. Will be having very mild fever and mild side effects. Some children might have loose motions or something, such kind of a thing. Okay? But nothing to worry about that. There are lots of cases where where it has been reported that after vaccination there was deaths. You heard of it? Yeah, in the papers and all. So it might not be because of the vaccination, maybe the vaccination, the way they administer it to the child, that also matters, and the cold chain of the vaccination should never be broken. Yeah, the vaccine. The cold chain, if it is broken, it is going to lose all its viability. Yeah, and because of maybe some contamination, maybe because of some other reason there could be death, but till date, because of the vaccination, the deaths, it's not common. Because maybe the procedure what they have followed might not be correct. Got it? So deaths because of vaccination. So because of this, there was death. It's not because of that. Maybe some problems in these chains. Clear? Okay. And more commonly, the side effects are fever, soreness at the site of injection, and there can be some serious side effects, although rare, and they have occurred. Side effects like this diarrhea, or side effects like very high fever, which is not at all subsiding. It can be because after the vaccination, maybe because of some other problem, he has fever and is not subsiding. But the parent will be thinking, okay, because of the vaccination, there is fever. And at the site of the injection, sometimes if it is not been injected properly, so happens you'll have a lump, a big lump. Okay? So sometimes if they, by the mistake of the doctor, instead of putting an intramuscular, if they put it intravenous, it will be a problem. Okay? So it depends on the person who is giving it, to whom you are taking your child. RMP or a pediatrician, okay? Or a very good experienced nurse. Experienced nurse will put it much better than a doctor. Okay. So, but the risks are outweighed by the need for the preventing these childhood illnesses. So whatever these side effects, they are just minimal. So you should always just close your eyes, don't think about the side effects, but get your child immunized against at least these recommended vaccinations. These are all the compulsory recommended vaccinations which the child has to take. It's visible? Yeah. So the first one is hepatitis B, DTP, that is vaccination against diphtheria, tetanus and pertussis. Hib, that is Haemophilus influenza B virus, which can cause either this meningitis or pneumococcal infections, that is pneumonia. Okay, it protects against all those Hib infection, Hib vaccination. Then MMR, that is measles, mumps and rubella. Then polio, as you all know, it's for the polio virus. Then varicella, it's for the chicken pox. Okay, varicella zoster. So all these are compulsory vaccinations in Indian conditions. Clear? These vaccinations will also be given free except this varicella. So the varicella, it's optional. If you want, you can give. But other than that, all these, it's given free in the from the government institutions. Yeah. So hepatitis B, 3 doses of hepatitis B is compulsory. So 3 DTP, 4, and you have boosted 5. You have booster doses later for DTP. Hib, you have 4 doses. MMR, 4 doses. Polio, every now and then. Okay. So varicella, 1 dose. So hepatitis B, it protects against lot of liver inflammations. So hepatitis B is a virus which causes infection in the liver. And hepatitis B virus is such that you don't have any cure. All the viral conditions for that matter, you don't have any cure. It should only, you should just take the proper precautions or proper protection. So how do you do that? With the vaccinations. So even after taking hepatitis B, it does not mean that you won't contract with the infection later. You might, but the severity will be very less. But you have not at all immunized against hepatitis B, and if you contract hepatitis B in the later life, you will have very severe jaundice and the person might die.
उनको अगर एज होने के बाद है वैक्सीनेशन नहीं हुआ है तो बाद में
You can't do anything. Vaccination तो initially ही दिया जाता है. So maybe I'll be giving you the proper schedule when you're going to give. Here or there, little bit, 1 or 2 weeks, 1 month, here month, you can, but old age you can't do anything. Hepatitis B you can give, but you have a proper dosage for that. You get the adult dosage. लेकिन जो अर्ली एज में देते हैं उसका प्रोटेक्शन जितना अच्छा रहता है उसके बाद उतना अच्छा नहीं रहता है. बट प्रोफाइलैक्टिकली दे टेक दिस. ओके, प्रोफाइलैक्टिकली मतलब प्रिवेंशन के तरफ पे, ठीक है ना. सो लाइक वेन एवर इट्स कंपल्सरी फॉर ऑल द पीपल हु आर वर्किंग इन अ लैब, in a clinical laboratory, hepatitis B dosage is compulsory, or when you are working in close contact with the patients, few vaccines are compulsory. ठीक है, so then you can take it. But early age, these are all the compulsory ones which the child has to take, has to be given. Okay, these are some of the recommended vaccines at the scheduled time. Why this has to be there with your health card is, you're going to make a note whenever the child is getting admitted to a school, to a preschool, you're going to have this immunization chart and check whether the child has been immunized against all these infections. If it has not been immunized, you have the right to deny the admission. So they ask them to take the vaccination even during that age also, 2 years also. Clear? Because as you know, these are all the communicable diseases, and if he has not been immunized, there are more chances of this child spreading the infection to other kids in the school. Clear? Okay. So what are the ones? At birth, it is BCG, OPV and hepatitis B. So immediately after birth, the first day itself they give the BCG. Then during the time of discharge, by the time of discharge, they gave this BCG and oral polio, same day. Hepatitis B, they give 1 shot of hepatitis B at birth. Okay? Then by 6 weeks, it should be DTP, oral polio plus IPV, that is intravenous polio vaccine. So that's optional. They usually go for the oral polio only. Then hepatitis B, Hib and PCV. So PCV, that is for the pneumococcal virus. So pneumococcal virus is optional here. Okay? PCV is pneumococcal virus. That is for the pneumonia. So we have learnt about pneumonia, right? Yeah. So just to protect it against the pneumonia, they have this pneumococcal vaccine, but it is still under the research. How far it is effective is still under research. So it's not an compulsory vaccination, it's optional. Okay? Okay. Then 10 weeks you have this DTP, oral polio, IPV, Hib and PCV. Hib is again the Haemophilus influenza B virus. It's very, very important vaccination. It has to be given because it protects against a lot of infectious diseases like the meningitis, especially the brain fever, encephalitis and the pneumococcal pneumangitis. So it protects against lots of infection. Then 9 months, 14 weeks, you have this DTP, oral polio, IPV, hepatitis B, Hib and PCV again. Then 9 months you have measles. Okay, so you have a vaccine which protects against the measles. They call it as, I don't know what they call in other language, they call it as Gautlama. Like, means you have this, like a chicken pox, you have the reaction throughout the body and it is highly contagious. So you have lymph node swelling and all in this, in measles. Okay, nowadays the incidence of measles is very, very less because of the vaccinations. Okay, earlier days measles matlab child death was compulsory. It was like that in those days. So the survival rate was very, very less because of measles. But now it has come down. Okay, so 9 months compulsory measles vaccine, then 1 year varicella. So this is also optional. So you can give this or you can skip. It's up to you. So if it's not pinching your pocket, you can give because it's a little bit expensive, the chickenpox vaccine. So with this, only the severity would be less when the child contracts the chickenpox. Otherwise, it's not going to prevent the chickenpox or avoid chickenpox. It's only to reduce the severity. That eruptions and all will be less. Okay. Then 15 months, you have this MMR and PCV booster. MMR, here you are giving a combination vaccine. Okay, it's measles, mumps and rubella. Okay? So there, in my 9 months, it's only measles, exclusively only for the measles. Here you have this measles, mumps and rubella. So measles and mumps also, it's like that you have this lymph node swelling, there will be, and this is also highly contagious. There might not be any rashes and all, but later cases there will be rashes. So, but it's highly contagious, a viral infection. Only thing is the child has to be isolated. You're not sent to the school and you have to take all those precautions. Okay. So, and rubella also, it was a highly infectious disease. So earlier days what used to happen is, because of rubella you have all those rashes each and every place. So entire body it used to look reddish. And rubella, MMR, who used to have this measles, mumps and rubella, death rate was more in the earlier days. Mumps also, rubella also. But now it's totally, almost say it's nil. Clear? Then 16 months, you have this Hib booster. Booster doses are what? It is just to make the memory cells again live. So the memory cells will be sleeping for some time. So it will be doing its job, okay? So it will think, okay, what happens if you'll be alert only when there is some emergency, right? You say that abhi train itne baje hai, nahi to mera train chhoot jayega karke, you'll be alert, right? Yeah? So you'll be doing all your job. If you say the train is delayed, okay, it's delayed for a day, no problem. You'll be relaxed. It so happens even here also. So if the virus has not entered into the body, the memory cells start sleeping. So that's why you need to give a booster, okay, just to re-energize it. There is one more virus which has come, okay, I have to again wake up. So that's how these booster doses are given, okay, just to refresh their memories. Clear? Okay. Then 18 months is DTP booster, oral polio and IPV booster. Clear? IPV optional as I told you, but this is more effective than the oral polio, IPV. So IPV is preferred only in polio endemic areas, wherever there are positive cases of polio still existing. Clear? Then by 2 years of age, they give vaccination for typhoid. Typhoid fever you all know, right? So they give vaccination for typhoid, and 2 years, 1 month hepatitis A vaccination. So hepatitis can be caused by different varieties in that viruses. It can be A, B, C, D, E. Okay, you have lots of viruses in hepatitis also. So now they give for hepatitis A. Initially hepatitis B, because these are all the waterborne infections, contamination, like usually seen in the low socio-economic areas where hygienic factors are not taken care of. Okay, toilet facilities and hygiene is not taken care of. Then 2 years, 7 months, again one more dose of hepatitis A. Then 5 years, DTP booster, OPV booster, typhoid. Sometimes even if you skip this booster, it's fine. I mean, it does not make much of a difference. It's okay. Because already one shot, the main course has been done. Okay. So then 10 years, TDAP, that is the booster for this, this thing, DTP. Okay. Then HPV, that is human papilloma virus. So this has been given to the females, ladies especially, to avoid this cervical cancer. Yeah, because to avoid the viruses which cause the cervical cancer, that is HPV, human papilloma virus. Okay. So these are the vaccines. I have already discussed what all it protects against, and the diseases. You can just go through it once, as there even in your notes. One more here I forgot to tell you about the rotavirus, which has come now. So the rotavirus, it's again not an compulsory vaccination, it's an optional. It's been given for the for protection against the diarrhea. Okay, rotavirus. So this is also under research still. They have a lot of advertisements and all, so they do, but it's still under research. So if you want, you can give, others you can skip. Vitamin A. That's not a vaccination. That's vitamin A drops, retinol drops.
OPV and polio drops is
Same. Here it is orally you are giving. Oral polio vaccine. Vaccine or drops, it's the same. IPV matlab you are giving it intravenous. IPV is more effective than the oral polio. That's what I told you. It's only given in endemic polio endemic areas where you have positive cases of polio. Okay. So next part in this is growth charts and health cards. So almost all the schools will have this growth chart and health card now. It's compulsory that you maintain the health record of each and every child in the school as well as the growth chart. Okay. So I think I have discussed this also when I was telling about the growth and development. Yeah. So the growth charts are an important tool for monitoring children's development, but they are just one of the tools to ensure a child is growing and developing normally. Because growth chart will only give an indication whether the child is growing normally or not, or whether he is overnourished, or whether he is normally nourished, or whether he is malnourished or undernourished. So children should be referred for suspected acute malnutrition in the following cases. When you're going to have this, this is just a pattern of the growth chart here. You can just have a look at this. Okay, you will have always have, these are the age in months, and this is the baby's height as well as the weight they take. Okay, this is just the height chart. So you have the weight chart also along with this. You have both combined, height and weight chart. Okay, so what you want to do, according to the age specific, you're going to check and you'll have one reference line in that. So that reference line has been prepared for that age specific. There are a lot of researchers and they say almost around 80 to 90% of the kids were within this line normally. Okay, so that's been taken as a reference line. So when you are plotting the graph for the child whom you are assessing, they should be somewhere near to that normal reference line. It should not be very low also, it should not be very high also. If it is too high, that means the child is growing at a much faster pace. Means he might be becoming obese. If the weight chart is increasing, that means he is becoming obese. You are overfeeding him. Okay. But if the same weight chart is showing a negative growth, that means he is getting malnourished. Clear? This is the growth chart what we use. So what all you can predict from this, whether the child is becoming malnourished or whether he is gaining weight or he is not gaining weight. Sometimes it so happens they might not be gaining weight, but they are active. Yeah, active in all other terms, because I told you this depends genetically also. Depends on the mother and the father, depends on the eating habit of the child, depends on what you're feeding him. Yeah, lots of factors. But even though if the child is somewhere struggling to come near to that reference line, but is still struggling maybe 1 point or 2 points always down, so but the child is active in all other aspects, no need to worry. Yeah. So in addition to this, if the growth chart is showing a lower curve, plus additionally if the child is not learning, yeah, or if the child is showing some delayed milestone symptoms, you know how to check it, right? Yeah. Along with this, if he is having that, then there is some problem. Got it? Yeah, that's how you're going to have this reference. Then a child below 2 years of age with plotted weight below, so that's called as the low weight for age curve, or you have the low height for age curve. So the growth chart and the health card especially, they usually prepare it with, you have lot of different parameters. It's been given in your, even in your observation chart. If you just check, all of you have got your observation charts, right? The case assessments. Yeah. So in that you have lots of different parameters what you can put for the health card. So in the health card compulsory you're going to have this vaccination chart also. Along with that weight and height chart, some of the growth card even carry this growth chart also. So it depends on the schools. A lot of different parameters, checking their physical development, checking their motor development, checking their cognitive, then language, you have socio-economic development, you can check the assessment which we have given you. So that carries almost all the parameters what we check. Okay. So when you are going to a school or when you are studying a child, you can always use that assessment what you are going to do to check the normalcy of a child. Got it? So this is about the immunizations and inoculations. Any doubt? These are the vaccinations which you compulsorily need to know for what it has been given, at what age it's been given. Yeah, you need to know about the growth chart and its importance. So final step. Last chapter. Any doubts in this? Immunizations, inoculations? No? Yes. Ask.
Because of some immunization, is there any chances of medical, like, some disturbance?
200%. You can take it from me.
I heard from the doctor that there are chances to influence some other, like, side effects is there.
Side effects are there, but nothing related to the brain or something like that.
Milestones because
None of the vaccinations will make any alterations in the milestones. Okay? Vaccinations are given for preventing. So that's not going to cause you any harm. Yeah?
no, if we are having that homeopathic treatment, we should not take that along with the treatment.
I'll speak to you later.
No, I am using
Okay. So final chapter. After that you will not be seeing Savita madam here speaking to you people. Okay. So different. Huh? Take a picture. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So different activities to enhance health and nutrition skills in a preschooler. So we've been discussing about all this health and nutrition, health and nutrition, health and nutrition. Okay. So what you're going to do to teach them about the health and nutrition? What are the activities you can do? We've been discussing in between the chapters also. So we'll see how you can do it in a much better way now. Yeah. So how to implement nutrition education? Nutrition education is offered at least once per week as a part of a planned comprehensive health education program designed to provide children with the knowledge and skills necessary to promote and protect their health. So what you can usually do is always at least weekly once you can have one theme. Okay, yellow color vegetable theme, yeah, or green vegetables the lots, orange color. You can have those color concepts, get the vegetable theme, get the fruit theme, yeah, get one salad theme, something like that, so that the child also understands the importance of the vegetables and when you have the theme day, you're going to tell the advantages of it, of the vegetables or the fruits, whatever they have brought. Clear? So, from the childhood, if you inculcate this habit, the child also is going to follow the healthy pattern of eating later in his life. Okay? So, this one you can have. Then, they promote nutrient-rich foods, the same, what I have told you now. So, and you can even have a cooking session also in the class. Maybe fireless cooking. Okay? You can ask them to bring some items but you need to know the fireless cooking first of all. So, you can just learn few fireless cooking. Yeah? And make the child to do it. Children enjoy cooking. Okay? Children enjoy doing it. You can have that baking session, you can have that, maybe not probably the vegetable cutting session. You can do the vegetable cutting for them and let them do the cooking. Yeah? So fireless, but start off with the fireless cooking. But when you need to use a flame or something like that, you do it. Let the child just observe it. Clear? So you need to have that. And you need to give that positive food experiences, child care programs to help the children develop an awareness of good nutrition and develop healthy eating habits for his lifetime. This is how you can do it. Okay, theme based. Then help children to make healthy food choices which can promote consumption of a balanced diet. You can always have that, as I told you on the other day also, a balanced diet chart, a pyramid. So what all, maybe you can fix the menu. In some schools where the food is provided to the child, they have a menu. Okay, they have that balanced diet menu. So each and every day what the child is going to have. So they prepare that menu also in such a way that he gets that balanced diet for at least that period whenever he is in the school. Okay, so that is there in many of the schools. If it's not available, what you can do is, you can give a list what the parent has to send to the child. Clear? And then achievement of optimal growth and intellectual development. So when the child makes a healthy food choice, he'll definitely have an optimal growth and an intellectual development. You all know about this, I need not repeat it again. Yes? Then increased physical performance. Healthy eating habits have always been directly proportional to this performance. Okay? They grow both physically also and mentally also. It never going to harm the child. Then maintenance of healthy weight. If some children, if they are obese, so you should cut down on their diets. So how do you do it? Without compromising on the nutrition part. So you need to choose the food which gives them more, which is more rich in the fiber. But you can't just put lots of fiber into the child also. So you have to plan the diet in such a way that along with the physical activity. Clear? So that the child at least puts down some of his weight. Because as you know, obese children, they are most likely to be obese also. They'll have this heart ailments, they'll have lots of different problems later in the adulthood. Then they are more prone to even cancers also, a lot of colon cancers. Yeah? Then decreased risk of nutrition related diseases. So nutrition related diseases we have been discussing throughout this year. Okay? So they'll have less chances of these nutrition related diseases if they can make a proper healthy food choice from now itself. Then successful nutrition education program influence children's eating behaviors. Okay? Maybe now and then, here and there, you're giving chips and you're giving all these junk items, it's fine. But not always, right? Then activities should be designed to encourage developmentally appropriate food experience that help children to learn about new and culturally diverse foods and healthy eating. So nutrition education should include teaching children the relationship between food and health. So it's the way how you're going to do it. Create lots of rhymes, create lots of stories, create lots of plays. Okay? So you're going to, some or the other way, you're going to put it into his mind that if you eat healthy food, you're going to be healthy. That's it. Then, Help children understand their growing bodies and how to take care of themselves through positive health behaviors. Expose children to variety of learning experience about where the food comes from and how it can be prepared. So you can have a farming session. Okay? So take them to a field. So you show them how the food is produced, so that they'll make choice that they shouldn't waste food. There are a lot of, once you make them realize how it happens, how is the process, how difficult it is, that the food which comes to you, it has to, the people have put a lot of effort to bring that food to you. Yeah. So you can have those sessions in the school itself. What you can do is you can ask them to bring the sprout and ask them to put it. Let them do it themselves. Let them sow the seed and put the water and say that this plant is for you. See how it grows. Then you can eat this one, whatever comes out of it. Maybe the fruit or maybe the vegetable, that's for you. And they'll be very happy to eat that fruit or vegetable. Try it even at home if you have a garden. Then help children develop sound attitudes and knowledge about food, nutrition and health. So how do you implement it? So develop a plan for nutrition education that includes opportunities for children to develop knowledge and skills to make appropriate food choices. The plan should devote adequate time and intensity to focus on behaviors and skill building. So whatever the lesson plan you are going to do, you always see to that. Just don't stick on to your curriculum that you need to complete all these portions. You should have one in all the lesson plans every month when you are planning, weekly once for this healthy nutrition part. Clear? Okay. And provide developmentally appropriate nutrition education as preschool kids acquire great deal of knowledge through play. So as I told you, sowing the seed or even watering the plants. Yeah. Then games and activities are helpful. Teaching tools for providing the foundation of a lifetime of health and nutrition education. So games and activities. These are the different activities what you can take, what you can do. And games. So maybe you can have him as you can have those vegetable day. He's going to wear, you can prepare those masks and prepare those big cutouts. So he's a watermelon and what is he has to learn about that fruit or that vegetable, what he is into. So that enaction, that self thing. Okay. Then he is going to tell the advantages of carrot. Maybe he is a carrot, he is a potato, he is an onion. Okay. And she is apple, orange. So each and every child is going to come and tell, I am an orange, I am a potato. You can even frame a song out of it, a rhyme. They're going to tell the advantages of it. So other children will come to know, okay, if I eat an apple, these are all going to be the advantages out of it. So you can have those games and activities. Apart from that, so these are some of the strategies to educate the importance of nutrition. One is the anatomy. Anatomy means you're going to tell the different parts of the body. So what it is, and here you can have that Simon Says, that's the most common game what you usually play with the children. So touch your head, child has to touch his head. Touch your feet, child has to touch his feet. Okay, so you can have that. Touch your tummy, the child can touch the tummy. So this will enhance his listening skills. This is for very small children. Okay, it will enhance his listening skill and his motor skills also. And as well as he'll understand which which part. By the time they come to the school, they'll be knowing everything: stomach, brain, all the head, and all those. Okay. So hygiene and disease prevention. So what you can do for this is paper plate and construction paper craft projects featuring sneezing and coughing phases help to teach children the importance of covering their noses and mouth when they are sick. So you can have those smiley cards or the smiley charts prepared out of and you can have the different faces: when you sneeze, how you look; when you cough, how you look; and what you are going to do when you are coughing. Okay, you can even create some videos where you show. Yeah, so these all comes under the practical life experiences. So how to cough, I think it has been done in the Montessori, right? How to cough, how to sneeze. Yeah, so all these things, maybe you can put it in a video format and show it to the child. Or maybe you can create these crafts and show it to the child. Clear? Then this project will teach kids the way, some of the ways of the disease and how it spreads. Because children will not be knowing, if you say that it spreads, they'll not understand that it spreads. So if you show them the video, then they'll understand, okay, if I cough or if I sneeze like this, and if I touch some other, anything, if they touch also, and if the other person is touching that, the virus can become active. So that's how this is a common place where the cold and cough gets, in the school. One child is having, the other one will definitely have. So this is the common area where it gets spread to the other children also. So if you are teaching the child who is having that problem, the precaution what to take care of, then the incidence of spreading this would be less. So that's how you're going to teach them. So how to teach them, it's up to your creation, how you're going to do it. So these are some of the ideas which I'm giving you now. Then this project can be combined with a lesson in hand, like washing and how to wash the hand will prevent illness. So you can have that session. You can give as a project to one child. Maybe in LKG or UKG you can give a project. Okay. So washing hands, you can give that cycle. What happens if you're not washing hands? Give that project and come. I know all the mothers are only going to do it. Okay. Most of the projects. Then next, the nutrition. What you can have is the posters and charts in the class for the nutrition. Then you can have the videos, you can have the rhymes, you can have the stories, whatever you plan for. Shall we have one session of it? What you can do? We're already burdened with a lot of activities now. Yeah? Okay. Physical activity. So a physical activity reward chart teaches a child of a planned physical activity per day. So you can have a reward chart. Usually most of the school follow this. They have the smiley stickers, or the teacher puts a smiley or a star. Yeah? So you should have those reward charts. So when you have given them an activity, the child does that, so you put him a reward. So he gets more encouraged. So he'll repeatedly do that to get that star or the smiley. Yeah? Physical activity, and it's a useful teaching tool for teachers who want to both explain what counts as a physical activity and to reward kids who complete their activities. And this activity also teaches kids that physical activity, and it's not FIN, there's something else, and this goes hand in hand. I think it should not be, what is it? Okay, let me check. Go hand in hand, and that play is a valuable way to be healthy. It is never too early to start learning about good nutrition. So no matter if you are skipped, you can just start off from now itself. Then preschoolers are full of energy and eager to discover new things. So children of this age have short attention span, and nutrition, games and activity should be kept very, 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 very simple. So don't just prolong it. So you can just keep it simple. And you can have some coloring activities. You can give them the worksheets or the charts where they can just color it, the vegetables or the fruits or whatever. You can give lots of activities for the coloring. Yeah. Then reading. So preschoolers enjoy being read and can learn a lot about the nutrition from the books. But here it should be all colorful books with big fonts and big pictures so that they understand. Then cooking, as I told you, you can have the cooking session in the school. Then games. So we have discussed a lot of games which they can do. So what do they call that? Self and action? The child becoming a carrot or the child becoming a potato. Huh? Role play, yes. Forgot the term. Okay. So you can have those role plays. So that's it. Any doubts? These are some of the ways we have been discussing that even throughout the session also. Any other doubts?